Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to I'm Gonna Hate Doing the Time Codes for this one. My name is Don Martino. I'm your host, and we got a lot to talk about today, guys. It's gonna be a packed show, and I'm very interested to get into this one with all of you. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Welcome to Movie Mornings, and I'm gonna do this with my cohort here. As always, it's Mr. Jose Espinel. Jose, how's it going?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm glad to be here. As Dom said, time codes for this one's going to be
Yeah.
interesting, very fun, very painful. But that just makes me more excited to get into today's episode because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm super stoked to get into all of it. It's like a lot, guys. Okay, we're catching up. We were in the Dune 2 hype and Oscars hype, so that took a lot away from the show for the past couple of weeks. We are going to talk about Ghostbusters, but it's not going to be till next week. We can't get that review out to you guys till next week. We have too much going on today. It's just not going to happen. So apologies in advance. We are going to talk about it next week. I know it's like the biggest movie right now. So yeah, like I said, we will get to it. It's not that we don't plan to see it. I think we're both Ghostbusters fans, to be fair, and we're
Mm,
very much looking
yep.
forward to the movie. It's just we have just not had the time to go see it amongst all the other things.
I
So,
mean, I guess I can show them. I mean, I'm such a fan that I
right.
already got the glow in the dark cup that AMC is
Yeah,
selling. So
100%. So it's going to be a lot of fun, but we are going to start with reviews because we have reviews to talk about, movies to talk about, movies we haven't
we
reviewed
do.
yet on the channel. I'm going to move my camera this way just a little bit there. There you go. That's a better view for the audience. And it's going to be a lot of fun still till this day. I don't know what that meant, but
To
we're
this
going to
day.
move on to the show. It's fun till this day, which is today, the day you're at. All right, cool. All right. Well, listen, it's going to be awesome. Let's start talking about some stuff. Jose saw Kung Fu Panda 4. Jose, I'm going to let you take it away. Non-spoiler review. Set this
Okay.
up. What's your thoughts?
Uh, okay. To preface, I saw this with a friend in Dolby, I believe. Um, Obviously, it's the fourth installment of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, with some familiar faces returning, or should I say voices? Obviously, Jack Black as Poe, uh, James Hong as his duck father, his panda father's in as well, and a couple others, just to name a couple. Uh, the story obviously follows Poe as the Dragon Warrior, um, doing just kicking butt like he always does. And I would say that I did enjoy this one more than the third one personally. I know a lot of people say that this one's probably the worst of the four, but in my ranking, I go one, then two, then four, then three. Um, just personally for me, I actually really did enjoy this one. I liked Aquafina's character a lot. I think that her character added a lot to this. The villain, in my opinion, was probably the weakest one out of all the villains that we've had. Um, there wasn't really much to it until like the last maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie. Um, but that whole thing that the villain did at the end there was actually kind of cool. I feel like didn't really do much the villain, but it was a cool concept, cool idea with the villain. The chameleon, she had really cool, I guess, powers to sort of speak. Um, Maybe some parts of the story were kind of slow, and I don't know, could have been maybe sped up some or done differently. But overall, I enjoyed the movie as a whole. Pace, like I said, the pacing could have been better, but the score was really cool. The actors and actresses all did really good with their voice acting. Uh, the animation was really cool. The cinematography and all that was also all really cool. Again, I'd just say really my only complaint would probably be like pacing in certain parts. But yeah, overall, I mean, I really did enjoy it.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Glad to hear that. So super glad that you enjoyed this one. My microphone's doing a thing again today, guys. So apologize for that in advance. It was fine up until now. So let's hope it stays fine. Anyway, sorry. I will move on here and just let you guys know I have not seen this movie. I've seen about one of these movies, but you're saying this one's kind of the generic chapter of it. It was fine, but not like really
Yeah,
right, worth going to see it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I feel like that's been the case for a lot of these franchises that decide to go like 4 or 5 movies in.
yeah,
They kind of just don't really compare to like the first or even second.
yeah, no, for sure.
Um, but I mean, for what it did, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All right, cool. All right, you have a grade on that, or
yeah, I'd give it a might go. I
all right,
mean, if you're a Kung Fu Panda fan, then go and watch it in theaters. But I mean, if you aren't really like a huge fan and don't want to like spend money to go watch it in theaters, and you can just wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
yeah,
So
all
yeah,
right,
I'd
fair
just give
enough.
it like I might go.
Perfect. All right. So we got another review coming at you here. This one's going to be one that you and I both saw, Jose. So I'm very interested to talk to you about this one.
I
And
just saw it
this,
today, so
yeah, no, this review is Love Lies Bleeding. That's the movie that we saw. And I'm finally happy we're able to highlight some smaller films here. So that's super duper nice. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm very excited to talk about this though. But this is from director Rose Glass. It's her second feature, and I do want to preface, guys, like she's coming off the hype of Saint Maud, which was such a hit when it came out. Or it's so beloved amongst horror fans. This movie, not a horror movie, but it is her second feature, and honestly, like, it's really hard to do that, especially when you're coming off of a first film. And like, I walked into this movie, completely acknowledging that, that Saint Maud was such a beloved thing, and that Rose Glass doing her second feature, she had a lot of pressure on her to kind of deliver on that same hype, I believe. But anyway, I'm not going to give away my thoughts yet. I just want to know, Jose, what do you think of this movie?
that was a pretty interesting concept for a film. Distributed by A24, so you know that they're always going to deliver with their movies.
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart, seeing her in it, play a role that's more close to comfort for her, seeing as she is a lesbian herself. I thought she did a phenomenal job in this role. I feel like those are the kinds of roles that I would like to see her in more, which I also feel like I am seeing her in more now. Um, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And but yeah, honestly, the story overall, like the whole story was really cool. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I thought it was a really cool concept. Um, the other actors, Dave Franco was really he did really good too for the limited time that he was in it.
It was great to see
Um,
that they had James Franco's brother play James Franco
yep,
in a movie. That really
yeah,
made me happy. I'm
yes,
just kidding.
exactly, yeah.
Sorry, that
um,
was mean. Go ahead, though.
uh, Ed Harris was also good as the father. He did really good. I thought he was his kind
Hmm.
of demeanor and the way he came off
Yeah.
was was really a really interesting
Yeah.
role.
I
That
mean,
was really cool. And then
yeah.
Katie O'Brien
Hmm.
was also
Yeah.
really really good in this. I feel like Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien's chemistry together in this was phenomenal. They
Yeah.
bounced off of each other very well.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was just honestly, like I said, an interesting concept that I you don't really see, and I like how we get to
Yeah.
we get these films, and to see these kinds of films do well gives me
Yeah.
even more hope for the future of the these kind of more indie
Yeah.
films, so to speak.
I mean, to set up the premise, I mean, you essentially got Kristen Stewart living this like hard life on the wrong side of the tracks, essentially, and she runs a gym and meets Katie O'Brien, and essentially it's a love story between these two characters. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying too, because it's like, when you're talking about Kristen Stewart, yeah, definitely this is one of her better performances. Like, she did feel comfortable doing something that she loved, and same for Katie O'Brien. I listened to a lot of interviews leading into this with Katie O'Brien, and it's cool to see that underdog story of her getting a film like this. I felt like that this was a big deal for her because she did fight for this role. She auditioned like 6 times to get this, which is crazy cool, but Yeah,
Oh wow.
we've been seeing her on the come up, you know, between all the different projects she's been popping up in, and I like her a lot as a person. Like hearing her in interviews, in real life, she's down to earth, and she really did put it all out there on the line for this movie, and it was a very risky movie to do, and honestly, because you like you said, the concept's very cool. It's very unique in the way they tell this love story. One of the things that I
Yep.
really enjoyed too is the fact that these two characters, the love is instantaneous, and like when that happens, like I bought into that. It wasn't like a build
Mm-hmm.
up like we usually see, and I thought that was a big risk to take, to just make you believe it's like a love at first sight ordeal between these two.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. And then James Franco as well, like you said, I think he does a very good job playing this creepy role. I apologize for the James Franco bit, but he does do play a very creepy fella, and very very sleazy fella, right? And then Ed Harris, I've heard him talk about how important this was to him, and I think he absolutely nailed it. Like, he is very very creepy, and he did a great job with
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's an Ed Harris role unlike I've ever seen him play. And this movie is, again, it's the way the story's told. It's very unique. I reckon that this is going to be referred to as the A24 steroids movie moving forward. I think people will coin that phrase for it. Now, for me, I hate to say it, though, I'm in the minority. I didn't like this movie. I think that the writing to me was
Mm.
yeah, I'm in a huge minority. To me, the writing didn't land in a lot of areas. I think that's what it came down to. I did like a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
concept of it, but the writing for me, in terms of the dialogue, just didn't hit. I felt like Rose Glass was really struggling to find a tone through most of it. I also feel like a lot of the randomness of this movie just didn't play as well for me, especially in like the darker, humorous parts, which I get that's what it was going for, but I felt like it was playing a tug of war game in the comedy with the rest
Mm.
of the movie, because the rest of the movie was taking itself almost too seriously for me to buy into the comedic aspects of it. And then the ending, which I completely respected this, because the ending is like, you watch it and it's a mixture of reactions between laughter and what the fuck and a lot of other things are going through your head, right there at the end. It's like, okay. I mean, and it's like, I understand what it was going for, but at the same time, I just don't think it landed for me like it is for most people. And I think the best part of it is the relationship between Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien and their chemistry. I do want to point that out. I do think that the actresses did a good job. And it's a very well shot film. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not. You know, it's a very, very well shot movie. I think everything Rose Glass wanted to do, with the direction, she nailed as far as the shots go. She definitely emulated that those 1980s, you know, bodybuilder documentaries in a big way. Like it had that look and that feel and that grime to it, which very very good on her. I wish the rest of the movie, the glamorous aspects of it, lined up just as perfectly as the rest of it, because to me that's where it failed, is when the movie was almost trying to be too glamorous from time to time. You know, even though I understood the meaning of it, I just felt like it was doing too much of a tug of war with the grime of the movie and the grit of the movie. There are some really great kill scenes and very good gore scenes in here too. I do want to point that out. So again, this isn't like a complete miss for me, but it just didn't land with me, unfortunately. It was a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the storytelling and the randomness of it. And it felt like almost too over the top for, I think, again, that over the top was playing too much of a tug of war with the grounded. That's where I think the movie failed. And unfortunately, like by the end of it, I walked out one end laughing at the ending, because the ending did make me laugh, but
Yeah.
and it was probably supposed to, and good on it. But at the end of the day, even though that ending was madly respected because somebody actually photographed that, and put that onto a film. You guys know the scene I'm talking about if you've seen it. And mad respect to that. Even though that was done, it didn't land for me, and I'm just in that minority. And I don't know. I was hoping for a little bit more. Um, Not hoping, but like I think that this movie should have maybe. It might have been better if it went just a little more down the path of, say, Drive. You know the movie with Ryan Gosling. Like
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
did something more
Hmm.
like that, I think maybe it could have played better. I just didn't enjoy the artistic route it went down, even though like I respect it. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't land with me in this particular case. So I'm an A24 stan. You guys know this. So yeah. All right. So anyway, sorry, Jose. Go ahead. You have anything you want to bounce off
No.
there?
Um. Yeah. There's a couple things. Yeah. So the like you said, the chemistry between Kristen Stewart and
Yeah.
Kenny O'Brien was really cool, and I actually just remembered the fact that Kenny O'Brien fought so hard for this role just
Yeah.
goes to show how much they really wanted to. Well, the vision that they saw for this film and how well they knew already off the jump how
Yeah.
well this movie was gonna do. And those are the kinds of movies that give me hope for
Yeah.
the future
Yeah.
for indie films and indie companies in general.
Yeah.
Is when you see these actors really, push and really fight for these kinds of roles
Yeah.
that they really want to play because they just really love, the script and the story
Right.
and just the roles in general. So,
And yeah, I do.
um,
Again, I admire the originality of this. I don't want to I don't want that to be lost in the fact that it just didn't land with me. I mean, I do admire the originality and the fact that it tried something new. You know, I hope that just because I didn't like it, you know what I mean, shouldn't mean that you
right,
don't
yeah,
keep trying. You know, I respect it for taking a swing. You know what I mean? So go ahead. Yeah.
right, you know, um, and for this to be her, only her second ever feature is honestly mad respect to her. I hope that she, keeps going
Yeah.
and just keeps putting out insane
100%.
features of originality, and that she just keeps growing and growing as a director and just keeps making movies like these and getting big name actors and maybe not even necessarily big name actors, just people that are fit for the roles and can perform them to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Um, I just hope that continues and yeah, I this movie did hit for me. I really did
Good.
enjoy it
Good.
the whole
Good.
time
And
from
most
beginning
people
to
it
end.
is.
I think
I'm in
I
the
think the
minority,
ending scene
so
was probably I think the ending scene was probably one of the funniest scenes
yeah,
for
it's
me.
hilarious. Yeah.
Um, it's super funny.
Yeah.
One thing I guess I didn't quite enjoy, if I had like one tiny gripe,
Sure.
was when Katie O'Brien. Oh, actually, I don't know if I want to say that because that's a spoiler.
Yeah. No, maybe
Um,
not spoil it, but
yeah.
she does a thing.
Okay, she does. She. I think you know what I'm talking about. She does this. She does this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
And then it also happens to Kristen Stewart's character.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that whole scene right there. If I had one gripe, it'd probably be that didn't really hit too much for me because I didn't get like, I guess the
Yeah.
point.
Well,
I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
there was a pivotal point in this too, like where I think like I checked out for some reason. Like even though I was like into
Mhm.
the first half hour of it, and like again I was really buying the chemistry between the two and really enjoying the performances and the love story. There was just like a weird area, maybe toward the second act, you know, building into that where like I felt like the pacing just started to really drag for me, and like that was I think it might be the same moment you're talking about, and maybe it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, you're either going to be on board here or you're not, and if you're not,
Right.
you're going to check out. And just for me, it just didn't land the way that I think maybe the filmmaker intended, and that happens, I guess. But yeah, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? It's just it just didn't land with me. But
Right.
yeah, it landed with most
Yeah.
people. So again, you're in the majority. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I think
yeah.
that's it really overall.
Fair enough.
Just
You want to give it a
yeah,
grade?
just enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. Give it on the lower side of must go.
Okay.
I don't want to put it too high up on there
All
because
right.
I just know that it might not be for everyone. I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
getting really high praise right now, which I mean, I can see why.
Yeah.
But I can see that this might not be for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, but I still enjoyed it, so I'll just put it on like the lower end of must go.
Fair enough. And yeah, as much as I love original filmmaking and I admire this type of thing, I unfortunately got to give this the don't go, the don't watch. You know, I don't think we've been this far apart on a movie before, but it's okay. You know, that's
No,
the
yeah,
great thing
no.
about the show is just having these conversations and talking about why things landed or didn't and helping other people form their own opinions, right? And
Very true.
that's goes to show you,
That's the whole
folks.
point of this is all. All subjectivity,
Yeah,
it's all
100%.
subjective at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm happy for everybody that loved it. I'm not mad at this movie at all. I think it should exist. You know what I mean? It's a piece of art. And that's what art does. It's going to land with you. Or it's not. And there's one more review, which you didn't know about, but I did actually get to see something today, and was very happy that I got the opportunity to finally see this one. It's a smaller film. Again, I do love when we can highlight these on the show. So this was pretty great. 2024 release here. We're going to be talking about Sometimes I Think About Dying. And this is a film directed by Rachel Lambert, stars Daisy Ridley. And so I'm going to start here. I would say that for me, this film, well, really, to set up the premise, I mean, we're following this girl named Fran, and we're kind of following her day-to-day life and her job and her home life, and it's really just a character study of this woman named Fran. And one of the things I really enjoyed about the character of Fran is she's a really good representation of what it's like to have social anxiety and depression, and that was, I think, the goal of the movie anyway, and I enjoyed that. And there are times where I mean, I got to say, like, Daisy Ridley was actually absolutely spectacular in this movie. This is a very different performance for her, so I was very happy to see that. She really did, like, blend into this movie. Like, she blends into the background of this movie so well that it's like the only reason she's a lead is because the camera decides to focus on her more so than other people. So I would start there and just say the performance from her was absolutely spectacular, and she did a great job carrying the movie, and showing a lot of different ranges that I don't think we've seen from her before. But it's a very quiet, very still performance. I mean, and this movie's a very slow burn, but I think that's as intended because, again, the character of Fran, you're going to watch her life and you're going to see she lives a very bland life until one man, Robert, joins the office, and he's a new guy. And because he's not really with the program, he doesn't really know how everybody is. He just takes an interest in Fran like he would anybody else. And the chemistry between these two was on point. I really feel that way. Like these two did a great job together. And again, just watching sort of like Robert be this like really charming presence, which brought all this like humor to the film, and opposite Fran, who's just very shy, has a lot of social anxiety, and we see throughout the film she's very depressed. She thinks about dying constantly, and this is shown through a lot of very disturbing imagery that I thought was very interesting. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The way that Rachel Lambert decided to use imagery, I thought was just perfect. It was at the perfect moments, the perfect timing, because when the imagery pops up of Fran thinking about death, it almost like catches you off guard. And I thought that was done extremely well. There's a sequence with the snake that I admire in this. It was just brilliant. But I think for me, like the issues that I had with the movie, if I'm going to go into that, were definitely like there's a very pivotal point in this movie, and it's probably the most pivotal point in the movie. And while I enjoyed the performances of it, I just was like, okay, I could have used a little more nuance to build up to that. You could tell that the movie is very low budget in that way, where it's like they probably didn't have the time to shoot extra scenes to flesh the moment out as much as they wanted to, and so that didn't land with me very well, if I'm being honest with you. And I would also want to go into the other thing that didn't work for me, is really not the ending itself, because I thought it ended at a very poetic area, and I did enjoy the way that it built to it. But more or less, like once the movie ends, you're kind of like, I think for a lot of audience members are going to be kind of like, oh, that's all there really is. Like it's just this story, and I think a lot of people are going to be kind of put off by that. For me, like again, I think that the film did wrap up very poetically though, like and it brought like all the loose ends together, which I really enjoyed, because there are a lot of mystery boxes opened up from the very beginning, and you're probably going to be like, oh, okay, like how is this going to play, what's the deal here?
Right.
And I thought that Rachel Lambert did a very good job being very conservative about a lot of areas where it's like, okay, like it's just giving you the right amount of information that you need to know for each scene, each moment, like, and in other films, like for example, like I don't even know what Fran does for a living. Like you can like kind of like by the end of the movie you kind of know her role at the office, but you don't really know what they do in the office. And in most films that would be an issue, but because of the way that this movie is set up and just like it wants to give you just the right amount of information for each scene and each part of the story, and it's very conservative about that. It plays very well, and the chemistry between Fran and Robert, these two characters, is very reminiscent of me of Adrian and Rocky, right? Adrian having that sort of shyness about her, and then you know Robert or Rocky, right? In this case, or Robert in this case, but it feels like Rocky is very much more outgoing. He's charming. He's got the whole office captivated by his charm, his personality. And I thought it was a very sweet relationship. And this movie is very charming. And if you've ever been through some type of depression, or even in just like a social situation where it's like, I don't belong here, and you're almost kind of like you can relate to this, because I feel like all of us in those situations are kind of like really wanting or hoping that somebody would just come in and relate to us, and we can open up more and show a little bit more of ourselves. And I found myself relating to Fran on that level. So in that case, the movie just does a great job. It's very charming, and I thought Rachel Lambert just did a great job with the chemistry, the relationships. Yeah, I think that this movie was really, really good. I do recommend it. For everybody for the most part. Like I said, I think the biggest issue here is just a little bit of lack of nuance in certain areas. And then again, like I said, I thought the pacing was magnificent, a little bit of a slow burn, but that's okay. I think that might put some people off, but that to me was the intent, and it worked. And it's shot extremely well. The cinematography is great. The score is very reminiscent of an older time movie like A Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I found that to have so much charm into it, and I just really enjoyed that. And then I think the final aspect of it, I would say, is like I think a lot of people are going to finish the movie and be like, there's okay, that's what it is, you know what I mean? Like there's just that much there. The more I sit with it, the more I kind of like it, though, you know, for myself. So again,
Right.
really, really great job. 100%. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a must watch. Honestly, I was really charmed by this movie. Do I think it's gonna end up in my top 10 of the year? Probably not. But you know, it is a really, really good movie, and it's worth your $4 rental right now.
Could get an honorable mention.
Could get an honorable mention. Yeah, I was just very charmed by the performances. Daisy did a great job. I can't remember the actor that played Robert. He did a fantastic job. Their chemistry together
Dave
was great.
Merheje,
Yeah, there you go.
Merheje,
And the comedy in this movie, by the way, very good. Like very organic comedy. I think every joke hit. Like I think every time it wanted to make me laugh, it did. Like, and there's a lot more comedy in
Was
there
it
than I
was
was
it Robert
expecting.
was it Robert doing most of the comedy?
He does a lot, but then the people in the office, like it's very realistic. This movie, like every
Was
moment
it
of
because
this
he is
movie is very realistic. So like it pops up organically, like it would in an office situation. You know, like Rachel Lambert kind of like just lets the camera sit back and lets the scenes play out, and it feels just so
Mhm.
natural. I loved every moment of that. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say because the actor who plays Robert, he's like he's a comedian himself, so
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, he's very good.
yeah.
He's very funny. He's very charming. Like I said, I think that it is it's very reminiscent of Rocky and Adrian and that dynamic. Except the whole movie's about that. You know what I mean? There's not the
Right,
it's Rocky and Adrian without the boxing, essentially. And
right.
that is I thought it did a great job with that. And yeah, I'm gonna give this a must watch. It's worth your $4 for a rental, 100%. I think it's just a charmer. You know what I mean? If you guys liked Past Lives or Holdovers last year, this is probably one you're gonna want to see, because it's just as charming as those movies to me. Maybe a little less, but still, like I think it's still there. You know what I mean? It's in that genre, and it really works for me. And I just enjoyed the organic moments of it. Really funny story. Just a quick little anecdote. So I there was a part where she said, "Hey Robert," and my Roku responded. My Roku literally thought she said, "Hey Roku." I was like, "You got to be kidding me." Um, but yeah, no, this is worth the $4 rental, man. I hope more people watch this one. I like to highlight smaller movies like this. This was really, really well done. So
No, that's fair. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So let's start with our topics, because we do got a lot of them today. I don't want to like undermine that. But yeah, really fun stuff. So I know that you and I, Jose, we've been like keeping up with this, but I think we've all also kind of have our own preconceived notion of what's going to be happening with this. So we're going to talk about Avengers 5 for a bit, because Avengers 5 is a movie where it's like, okay, the Jonathan Majors thing went down without diving into the controversy too much here. Like, it goes down and it's like, all right, I mean, there's probably no more Kang. And as a matter of fact, they gave him the perfect out at the end of Loki season 2. And not the
Mm-hmm.
other part of that is like, hey, you know what? The Kang character hasn't really been hitting with audiences. I mean, we've spoken about this numerous times. So I thought it was interesting. Scream Rant has this really interesting article that I think we need to dive into here, because a lot of our preconceived notions might not be exactly, what, they might not line up. The reality might not line up with that. So let's look at this article. All right. Avengers 5 has the perfect replacement story for the Kang Dynasty. All right. Avengers, the Kang Dynasty could possibly not end up being the title of the next Avengers movie. I think we already figured that. And if the Marvel Cinematic Universe chooses to move on from Kang the Conqueror, there's a perfect story for Avengers 5. The latest movie for Earth's Mightiest Heroes was 2019's Avengers Endgame. The film served as the finale of the Infinity Saga, with Spider-Man Far From Home acting as its epilogue, which is a similar role to what one of the MCU's upcoming movies for its premiere superhero team will be. 2027's Avengers Secret Wars will end up the MCU's multiverse saga. Before that, a new vision of the team will rise in Avengers the Kang Dynasty, which is set for 2026 release. The movie is expected to feature Kang the Conqueror and or the Council Kings going up against the Avengers. However, given Jonathan Majors' recent firing from Marvel, or the MCU and Marvel Studios' internal issues, there was a chance that Avengers 5 could pivot from that idea. A version of a Marvel Comics story would be perfect replacement, the Kang Dynasty in the Avengers film. All right, so they're talking about Avengers Siege would tie up many MCU loose ends. I'm Reddit MCU fan Trip26 shared an interesting theory that proposes a version of the comic Siege storyline as a possible Avengers movie, and the event would make for a great replacement for Avengers the Kang Dynasty if Marvel decides to move on from Kang. According to the theory, after attempt of a Skrull takes over in Secret Invasion, humans would attack New Asgard. Since the United States president incited rage against all alien species on Earth, then the global forces would turn their attention to the advanced nation and attack on Wakanda to take over the country's vibranium reserves. Would ensue. Wakanda and Talokan would use their newfound peace to serve as allies in the conflict, with Namor getting the war against, he's got controversy too though, the war against the rest of the world that he wanted in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The theory goes on to mention multiple players who could be on each side of the war, with Sharon Carter against the aliens as the power broker, and Emilia Clarke's overpowered Gia helping them against the rest of the world. Avengers Siege would then focus on a full-on world war. To help stop the conflict, Sam Wilson would assemble a new Avengers a new Avengers team to end the war, but that setup would be perfect for Anthony Mackie's character, continuing the political connotations that would come with being Captain America and being him on a major role in the MCU going forward. The Avengers movie would be able to touch on one of the MCU's biggest recent issues, which are many threads left hanging by the projects. Due to the rapid release of the MCU content, some characters and stories have gone unattended for years. All right, so let's take a look at this part of it, because I think that this is where the juice comes in. Avengers 5 may move away from Kang, but we don't know for sure, in parentheses. Despite Majors' firing from the role of Kang the Conqueror and his variants, there has been no official announcement Marvel Studios a possible title change for Avengers the Kang Dynasty. However, Avengers 5 possible title change has come up in a series of rumors and reports, which say that the film is now being described internally as simply Avengers 5, dropping the Kang Dynasty. While these are unsubstantiated rumors, they do not line up with the timing of Avengers Secret Wars, with writer Michael Waldron coming on board to rewrite Avengers 5's script. For the moment, Avengers 5's official title remains the Kang Dynasty. If the situation were to change, it would likely be a sign of major swerve for the Marvel Studios. From Loki Season 1 to multiple other MCU projects, including Kang the Conqueror's main villain role in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Marvel has shown that it was going all in on the villain. So Kang and his variants are expected to be the main force of possibly the next two Avengers movies, but a title change would signify a change of plans regarding Avengers 5's villains. Okay, so we've been kind of talking about this for a while. The reason I wanted to highlight this article is because I do think, and I've heard very recently, I actually think this information's out there. They're not dropping King. They're going to stick with King. However, the movie's not going to be called Kang Dynasty. It's going to be a far more from what I hear, so this is the whole idea was that our speculation on this has been all the more verified because Bob Chapek mandated way too much, and that's been verified lately. I just saw like a producer came out the other day, right, and was like, put all this stuff out. They're even talking about like, yeah, we're gonna do Ironheart. All this stuff is coming, but we want to make it good now. You know what I mean? It's not, we announced it way too early, and yeah, all that kind of stuff makes sense. Anyway, kind of moving into this article, I did want to bring it up because it's like, yeah, I do think that they are going to, move forward with Kang. I really do at this point. But I don't think it's going to be called the Kang Dynasty. I do think that they need to shift the overall story direction. Even if you are going to keep Kang on, and from my understanding, they are. But I wanted to look into this because Wakanda being your sort of baseline, you have so much lore built up in that. Yes, I look at this speculation and I say, yes. I'm not saying this is what they're going to do, but I'm saying this is a great idea because it would tie up all the loose ends. You could still incorporate Kang in the background if you wanted to, but he wouldn't be like an important part of it, right? But you also get to keep, Emilia Clarke's Gia would be a huge part of it, and you can kind of make Secret Wars a better show, Secret Invasion a better show than, a lot of people thought it was. So you can do that. You could also, at the same time, you can bring forward all this Wakanda stuff because I think the Black Panther movies have been the best ones, so far out of the entire MCU. I like Black Panther 1 and 2 the best.
That's another way as well to be able to throw in Ironheart.
Exactly, which they need to do.
Since we haven't seen her since Black Panther 2, so this would be a nice way also to kind of give us more to expect moving forward with, the actual Ironheart project that they want to do.
Yeah. And then that way, I feel like you really are leaving room for like Secret Wars to be its own film, its own sector, its own category, because that's where you can bring in a lot of your multiverse type stuff and your Fantastic Four and your X-Men can come into it, and
especially since it's going to be the end of this phase in Saga. It'll be it'll be the perfect ender for this whole, bringing in just everyone and anyone and having like a full on, like that article said, a whole like world war. You just bring in like any and every Avenger to just fight like all these big villains. Like you could have, like you said, you could bring the Fantastic Four, so you could bring in Doctor Doom. Bring the X-Men, you can bring in some of their, you could bring in Magneto or some of their other villains. The Avengers, you bring Kang and maybe some of their other villains as well, kind of just slowly introduce some of them, and like you have this full-on world war between the Avengers and a bunch of their like villains. Yeah, and just have this whole multiversal world war in a sense.
Yeah, I think the idea of this article is really saying like, make them two different movies, don't do the repeated Infinity War ends and you got to wait for Endgame, even though that was successful for that saga of it. The multiverse saga might need to do something different with all they kind of got out there right now. And I do like the idea of them making it like two completely different movies, and I think that was like the main thing I want to bring up, because it really does feel like we do have two different categories of Marvel right now. I mean, we got the category of the Wakanda, stuff with just the more political side of it, right? And then that stuff could be your Avengers 5, and then I think your Secret Wars could be the multiverse fun movie, right? And that could work. I really do think that could work. Maybe somehow you can lead the two in together, a little bit better, but I think you just have to close both of these categories that they've kind of set up in these recent phases in the multiverse saga. I mean, I'm the minority. I liked Falcon Winter Soldier. Ain't got nothing to do with the multiverse. You know what I mean? Moon Knight, a little bit of the same thing there. Like, wasn't a huge fan of how that ended and everything. There are episodes in there that are great, but wasn't a huge fan of the ending of it and how it all kind of wrapped up. But at the same time, like, it ain't got nothing to do with the, multiverse. And same with the Black Panther stuff. It's like, it ain't got nothing to do with the multiverse. That's like your political conflict. I assume like Thunderbolts ain't gonna have anything to do with the multiverse either. So it's like, I think like all that stuff like needs to wrap up in its own movie. Yeah.
Thunderbolts is the MCU's version of Suicide Squad in a sense.
Right. And for myself,
what that's trying to be.
I like the political side of Marvel for myself. I enjoy that stuff. It's intriguing, and then that's the stuff I really want to dive into. I think most people would argue Winter Soldier is one of Marvel's best movies. It's a political thriller, you know what I mean? And I enjoy that side of it to a huge degree. And even just the politics of Civil War, even, another one of Marvel's greatest movies. I mean, it's a political thriller, you know what I mean? So you could look at these movies and be like, yeah, and then I think they have this fantastical multiverse side of it that they got to fix, which I think Deadpool 3 is going to do a lot of cleanup as well, so don't get me wrong, but I do think that you do almost need to have two different Avengers movies for each sort of sector of that they've built in the multiverse saga, which again, I do put all the blame on Bob Chapek for, all of his, endeavors of let's rush projects out, 18 projects a year or whatever he was saying. And it's like, that's impossible. I mean, we could do it. They're not going to be good. It's one of those things. And so I like this idea of like almost maybe making two different movies, right? Like Secret Wars, I think we all know what to expect. It's going to be this huge multiversal battle. It's just going to be fun.
World War.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's gonna be fan servicey. Well, let's just face it, it is. There's gonna be tons of cameos in there, and people are gonna get excited. But then you could do this Avengers 5 as the more serious, grounded, more political thing, and that way there's a little bit of flavor for everybody in there. But you're also tying up everything you've set up. So I that's the idea I would go with at this point, and I hadn't thought of that until I read this article. So I was kind of glad that I did. I don't know, any more you want to add to that on Avengers 5 or?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think that they should go more political with Avengers 5 and separate the 2. Have Avengers 5 be more serious political, kind of like Civil War, Captain America Civil War type vibe, and then have Secret Wars be more of the fan servicey multiversal World War, which. Between the two, I think I already know which one I'm probably going to prefer more.
Yeah.
But
that's why I said it's flavor for everybody, right? So yeah,
exactly. But it's not to say that I'm not going to enjoy Avengers 5 because again, I do also enjoy the serious political Marvel movies that we've gotten in the past, like you said, Civil War, the Black Panthers, all that other stuff. So yeah, I do 100% agree with what the article says and with what you said as well, that just separate the two. You could maybe tie them together somewhat, but not like hugely like with Infinity War and Endgame, because I do feel like you need to do something different because these are two different phases.
I think they should acknowledge each other, but they're not. You know what I mean?
No,
like
for sure.
Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
Acknowledge each other, but not tie in together to where like with Infinity War you had to wait until Endgame came out to see what happens next.
Right.
Because that was the Infinity Saga. It didn't have to do really anything with multiverse at all. And so now that we're in this multiverse saga, there's definitely a lot more to tackle. So I feel like they shouldn't tie in together like the Infinity Saga did. Because there's just so much more. If you try and tie them in like super perfect together, then it's just gonna probably disappoint fans, if I'm being completely honest, because it's like we've got another Infinity, we got Infinity Saga Part 2. We want something fresh. We want something fresh and new and different, especially since we're in a whole new phase.
Well, that's the big thing.
So many different kinds of possibilities and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
And I also think it's a matter of they got to acknowledge what they have, where they're at. They have to acknowledge it. They have to acknowledge we fucked up.
And as I was saying, acknowledge that they acknowledge all the stuff that they need to fix that was done wrong from Bob Paycheck. And correct them in future projects, so that by the time that we get to Avengers 5 and Secret Wars, you got the fans back in. They're actually enjoying everything again now. And then once Avengers 5 and Secret Wars comes out, you've got them hooked and they're completely ready and can't wait to see what you guys put out.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, and I say that for myself. I'd like the political one more, but then you wait till Secret Wars comes out, and I'm gonna be like,
And
oh,
it's
it's Tony.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
it's
who knows? You know
Andrew.
what I mean? It's like, yeah, 100%. The child in myself could get super
Yeah.
excited, and that could overtake things. I just have to see how they're both executed. I think at the end of the day. So yeah, it's a flavor
Oh
for
my gosh,
everybody,
Chris
and
Evans is back as the Human Torch. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
well, that's very possible. Yeah,
Imagine.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
put it past Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars is going to be a big deal, so they're going to put everything out there. So, yeah, no, I thought that was a little fun one we could
Oh,
dive into
100%.
there for sure. And at the end of the day, guys, it's up. We speak with our wallets. It's up to you guys. What would you like to see Marvel do? We'd like to hear that in the comment section below. I wanted to touch on this. So I think one of the best movie stars right now. Tom Cruise, easily, 100%. I think when we're talking dedication, you can have your opinion on the dude, but when we're talking dedication to the screen and just as far as like his overall star goes, I mean, Tom Cruise is up there. He's one of the best movie stars in the world. It's kind of unfortunate because we used to say like, oh, him and Dwayne Johnson, they still bring in the box office dollars, but then Mission Impossible didn't hit expectations, nor did Black Adam, even though they were both fine movies in their own right. This is yeah. So I think that movie star thing is dying, and as we kind of further that plot, as the plot thickens with the are there still going to be movie stars? I think a lot of these Tom Cruise and Dwayne Johnson, I mean, they're going to like look for new routes and things to do. And I think Tom Cruise is looking to get that Oscar on his mantle. He's like, you know what? I've been around this. I've been in the game for a long time. It's time for me to start to work with some people. And we might have talked about it. I can't remember, but there's definitely been rumors popping up of him and Tarantino maybe working together. I think Tarantino's last project. I think Tarantino definitely wanted Tom Cruise. I know he wanted him to play in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at one point in time. So that's a very high possibility. The one that intrigues me a little bit more that I wasn't really aware of until recently that I'm actually super excited for if this is actually going to be happening. And this comes from Deadline, and it looks like it is. I mean, Tom Cruise is starring Alejandro G. Inarritu's next film at Warner Brothers and Legendary. So let's read into this. All right. Sources tell Deadline that Warner Brothers and Legendary Entertainment are in negotiations for an untitled Alejandro G. Inarritu film starring Tom Cruise. The project would mark Inarritu's first English language pick since his 2015 smash The Revenant. The film is produced and directed by Inarritu, and with the script he co-wrote in 2023 with Sabina Berman, as well as Alexander Danielaris and Nicholas G. Alcabone, I believe that's how you pronounce that. I apologize. His co-writers on Birdman reuniting a decade later. This also marks the first film for Cruise, in parentheses, who will also produce, following the announcement of his strategic partnership with Warner Brothers last month. It's expected Legendary will also produce. All right, so there's a couple reasons. I mean, I wanted to bring this up, and those two reasons are Birdman and Revenant. I mean, we're talking about two juggernaut films that this guy directed. What's so fascinating about this is like, okay, you're looking at Michael Keaton in Birdman, right? Michael Keaton was a movie star. If Michael Keaton was in the movie, the box office was going to be big. Like, you can almost bet your bottom dollar on it. And listen, second Michael Keaton worked with Inarritu, there's Michael Keaton's Oscar, right? He got his Oscar that year.
The same thing. The same thing with DiCaprio with Revenant.
Yep. And these are both movie stars that were, starting not to bring in box office dollars, who had to find a new route. This makes so much sense for Tom Cruise, and I feel like he's going to get a Best Actor win out of this. It'd be almost dumb of me not to believe that and not to put my money on Tom Cruise winning a Best Actor for this project. I love Inarritu, dude. Birdman is a masterpiece, and so is Revenant in its own right. I think I like Birdman a little bit more, but Revenant is still like, oh my gosh, man, you can watch that movie; it's riveting. There's no doubt about it, and it does give these actors
based on a true story as well, which is crazy.
Yeah, gives actors these he gives actors these opportunities that they've never had before, and he puts them in roles, like he puts them in the shit. You know what I mean? He puts them in roles that are brutal. And I was even listening to a great interview, by the way, guys, Michael Keaton on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, and Josh Horowitz had told Michael Keaton he asked Michael Keaton about what he thought of Tom Cruise working with Inarritu, and Michael Keaton actually hadn't heard that he was yet. And once Michael
Oh,
Keaton found out, Michael Keaton was like, "Oh yeah, that's exciting. That's going to be amazing," you know. And it was really, really cool to hear that. Man, Birdman's just amazing. Anyway, sorry, I'm in such awe of Inarritu's work, and hearing that Tom Cruise is going to line up with them. You guys, even the Tom Cruise naysayers, man, I think you guys will watch this movie because I think it's going to have that kind of buzz behind it. And I think you guys are going to see Cruise do something he ain't done before. You know what I mean? And with Cruise being as willing as he is to give himself to the screen, I just can't imagine what these two are going to come up with. And to me, it's remarkable. This is one of the most exciting announcements in film to me. And that's just me as like, again, I get chills, I get goosebumps, I get excited about announcements like this. I mean, Jose, what do you think of this, man? I'll let you go on.
no, yeah, no, it definitely excites me to see Tom Cruise teaming up with Alejandro Inarritu. Because again, like you said, his movie, Revenant and Birdman are just phenomenal films. Michael Keaton and Birdman gave a performance of a lifetime. Same thing with DiCaprio and The Revenant. He
Yeah.
performed. They both deserved. And well, DiCaprio definitely deserved that Oscar.
Yeah.
And it just excites me to see that Tom Cruise is now teaming up with him. And if you put two and two together, it's almost safe to say that Tom Cruise is gonna at the least get nominated for Best Actor. Honestly, could even win if you put two and two together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really exciting stuff. I can't wait to see more details about this. Who else is going to be casted for this? And then once it's in development, see a teaser, see what this is going to be fully about and stuff. So yeah, it just honestly really excites me. And like you said, I think we're going to be seeing Tom Cruise do something that he has never done before, which is gonna be interesting and kind of scary at the same time. Because when actors try something they've never done before, it's a 50-50 on whether or not they're gonna be able to deliver. But it doesn't scare me for Tom Cruise because he's one of those that he can do anything and everything. I'm actually really excited to see what it is that he's gonna be doing for this film. It really does excite me.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
same, man. This is exciting, and I think it's going to be one of those stories. We read it now; it's going to kind of go away, and then we're going to see a trailer one day, and we're just going to be like, "Yes, that's it right there." So very, very exciting, and I don't know how this is going to affect the Tarantino relationship. I hope he can still make that Tarantino thing work. That's one of those actors Tarantino absolutely has to work with, before the end of his career. So we need to see that.
Apparently, apparently the next movie he's making is going to be his final film.
Yeah,
That's
so
what he says.
I feel like Tom Cruise has to be
So
a bucket list thing, even if it's for a small role. You know what I mean? We need to see these two work together. So I hope that this doesn't interfere.
yeah, I was gonna
with
say because
that.
I think Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt's starring in that one. So
And
even if
possibly
he is just like a
reprising his
side,
Cliff Booth role, which
supporting
is
actor,
crazy.
I would definitely
So,
like to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But yeah,
go
I
ahead.
did. I just read the report saying that this is Tarantino's final
Y-
movie. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep, for sure. All right, guys. Look, we need to, I hope, I hope Inarritu gives him the Leonardo DiCaprio slash Michael Keaton treatment, right? And speaking of Michael Keaton, we have a trailer that just dropped today or yesterday by the time you guys are seeing this, and we have not seen it yet. So this is our reaction, guys, to Beetlejuice official teaser trailer. Very excited to bring this to you guys on the show here. Let me see if I can just move the screen a little bit for you guys so we can have a full view of the trailer, as full as we can get anyway. And let's take a look at this. All right. Oops, sorry about that. All right. Just want to make sure Jose can hear everything, and let's take a look. Here we go.
Daylight come and we want to go. Come
Beetlejuice is loose.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it right there, man. That is going to be one of the biggest movies of the year, without a
Mhm.
doubt. I am so. oh, I had tears in my eyes. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just like, oh, stellar, man, stellar. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. All right. So first of all, just wow. I didn't think I'd have tears in my eyes. Holy shit. Holy shit, guys. Wow, that hit me. Yeah, using Deo in that trailer for the Harry Belafonte song. Holy shit, that was such a smart move, and oh man, Jenna just looks so perfect for this world. Seeing the original cast members that they got between Catherine O'Hara and I'm getting choked up, guys. I really am seeing Catherine O'Hara and Winona Ryder back in this, and wow, and Michael Keaton's appearance. The juice is loose. Holy shit, what a great line. Yeah, I was like, I can't keep myself together, man. I'm dead
juice is
serious right
loose.
now. Holy shit. I'm like,
I feel like I need to talk because you just can't keep yourself together.
oh man, that hit me. Oh man. All right, yeah, no, seriously, man. Go ahead, dude. Take it away.
Yeah, no, that trailer, what a trailer, man. Like you said, this is gonna be one of the biggest movies of this year. Uh, Michael Keaton was looking phenomenal as coming back reprising his role. Winona Ryder coming back, Catherine O'Hara as well is really cool seeing them. Like you said, Jenna Ortega just looks like she fits so perfectly, and it's like this is her kind of world. Like I
Oh,
mean, again, her and Tim Burton just have it's like Tim Burton has found himself the female version of Johnny Depp.
yes, I agree. I agree. Oh,
Yeah, 100%, and it's just amazing to see
oh,
how Tim Burton is able to find himself a younger female version of Johnny Depp when Tim Burton and Johnny Depp used to do all those amazing films
oh,
together, and it's just amazing to see. And I honestly just can't wait to see what else Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega do in the future together in terms of whether it's a show or a movie or just anything like that. Because yeah, she just this is her realm right here. Like this is all her. This kind of like eerie kind of quote unquote horror, dark uh, type of movies. That's just her, and I just can't wait to see, what she brings. I know it's just going to be amazingness.
yeah,
Like you said, music choice in the trailer was amazing. I loved that. That song is amazing.
yeah.
Um, Michael
Oh,
Keaton say the juice is loose at the end was I laughed. It was actually really funny. um, yeah, I can't wait to see what the official trailer
yeah.
brings. And then also I'm just really excited for the movie. I can't wait. I just can't wait for this movie. It looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was, man. I think it just like hit a part of my childhood, and then like Beetlejuice is such a special movie to me from growing up, and um,
Your eyes are so red.
I know, man. I can't believe that hit me the way it did. I was not expecting this, guys. This is the problem with doing this, I guess, on the show. I can't really edit this out, I guess, but I could if I wanted to. But I'll give you guys my full reaction here. This was honestly a special trailer, guys, and I was so really nervous for this. I was nervous for this movie. I knew this was going to be a big deal, but I thought it was going to be, goofy and kooky and, like, and it wasn't. It just like, it was like, it understood the tone, and it was, for some reason I was expecting something kooky, you know what I mean? But this understood it, and,
Yeah,
and
no,
it had
right.
it, and it hit the hearts of Beetlejuice fans everywhere, I think. And seeing Jenna in the role just felt so perfect, and watching her take off the tarp, like, and just, and going up into that attic again, and the aesthetic and the set design, oh my gosh, it's all correct. Like everything about this is correct to me, and I was so stunned and just blown away. And yeah, man, this is a special. Beetlejuice is a special movie to me, and this it's still to this day. It's amongst my top 3 Tim Burton movies probably. I know like Big Fish is up there along with Edward Scissorhands. So I mean, but the Beetlejuice was definitely a special movie to me growing up, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys when I say I was expecting something very kooky and goofy and just funny, and it wasn't. It was just like played the way, and it was funny in the way that he said the juice is loose. Oh my god, that made me laugh so
Yeah.
hard, and it was perfection, and just like, I'm telling you, this movie's gonna be massive. I just can't believe how much this just touched my heart, and like, I'm so
I was
glad.
about to say, I just can't believe how much like that hit you in
Yeah,
that
I don't
spot.
know. I think it's because of my childhood, and I grew up with this movie, and I watch it at least twice a year. This movie, it's one of those movies. I think I watch it like twice every October, and the Michael Keaton performance is just, it's so good. You know what I mean? And I think like hearing a lot of what Michael Keaton has been talking about with this movie, and he wasn't going to do this till it was right, and man, like seeing the trailer, he was correct about that. Because it's like, okay, actor says good thing about the movie they're doing, okay, whoop-de-doo, but like he was not lying, and
Right.
seeing the evidence of it, I think, just hit me. You know what I mean? That he really did want to make sure this was right, the script was correct. Beetlejuice is not a main character, he's a background character, and that's what this needs to be, and that just showed so much in this trailer. And yeah, man, this hit me. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It really hit me, and it was the usage of the Harry Belafonte song coming back into it, and that nostalgia, and just, oh, this is a special movie. God, this is gonna be a special movie. I think it's gonna make $1 billion, 100%. I think it's, I think it is 100%. I think it's $1 billion hit. Really do. All right,
Sure.
guys, look, trying to move past that one. Let's hope I don't get emotional again here, because there's another franchise that released a trailer that means a lot to me. That franchise is Alien. We have Alien Romulus
okay.
here. We did get a trailer for that. I have not seen that. We're gonna get a reaction from both of us. Alien means a lot to me too, guys. Alien from Ridley Scott is it's a masterpiece. I think it's a perfect film. And James Cameron Aliens ain't far behind from that. With the sequel, I like Alien 3. I'm in that rare minority that like 3. Alien Resurrection and the AVP movies can go take a hike. As far as I'm concerned, they're just not for me. And then, but I liked what Ridley Scott did with Prometheus and Covenant. I thought both of those movies were very respectable entries and lined up with the original vision for Alien. This time we're getting a brand new director onto this, Fede Alvarez, who I thought did a great job with the Evil Dead 2013. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do with the Alien here. So let's take a look at this trailer for Alien Romulus. All right, let me pull the screen back up here, and we will do this.
I might not look for a lot of it. I'm just letting you know.
It's just a teaser. You should be okay.
Get it away from me.
Run.
Whoa. Oh. Yes. Well, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. Looks pretty freaking incredible, if you ask me. It's
That makes one of us.
going back to the horror roots of what that first one was, that original Ridley Scott masterpiece. I'm very excited. But yeah, it looks like, maybe we'll get a little bit of that action in there that James Cameron brought to it as well. On top of that, it looks like a good balance, and yeah, super excited for that. Yeah, Jose, you go ahead and talk about your experience with that.
Yeah. Sure. I think this channel already knows. They know me well enough. I think they know my opinions and how I feel about those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Will I be watching this in the theaters? No. Will I be watching it if it ever comes out on a streaming service? No.
Well, there you have it. No, look, yeah, that looks great to me. I think that this is going to make a lot of fans happy. It's just a teaser, so I'm still cautiously optimistic that, this is definitely what, the Alien fans have been wanting out of this. But I mean, just the shots of the blood and gore, I mean, look great. And yeah, it definitely looks like a freaky ass movie. That's for
There's
sure.
no way. There's no way you're having me react to the full trailer when it drops. I'm telling you that right now.
All
If that
right.
was just a teaser, I can already imagine what the actual trailer is going to be.
Hey, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, guys, let us know what you thought of both the trailers we reacted to here today. I again, Beetlejuice obviously is the one that hit more for me. But yeah, this Alien one, I'm like, oh damn, like it looks like Fede's got the right take on this and the right attitude going into it. All right, so speaking of Alien, not really, but speaking of sci-fi, if you want to go that route, I want to send a message out to the people out in the world. And that message is, hey, you. Yeah, you. You out there. What are you doing? You're sitting down. You haven't seen Dune 2 yet. Get up. Get to the IMAX. It's in there for another couple weeks if we're lucky. Get up. No, yeah, you. You out there. I'm talking to you. Get up. Get your ass up. You out there. Go now. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You're sitting down. You're eating
It's already 500,000 in the box office.
You're eating a lollipop. Get out there. Go see it. I don't know. Dune 2, box office. I wanted to kind of just talk about this. Dune Part 2.
It's already at 512 million. It's crazy.
Has already made more money than Doom at the box office. Dune Part 2 has continued to rake in the dough and now surpassed 2021's Dune at the global box office. When all said and done, director Denis Villeneuve's sequel will probably make somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 times as much as the first movie did, which is great news for Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures. It's also very good news for those who want to see Villeneuve finish his trilogy in a few years, as all signs point to the studios giving a third installment the green light. This past weekend, Dune Part 2 came in second place to Kung Fu Panda 4, pulling in another 28.5 million domestically in the third weekend. The blockbuster on Frank Herbert's classic sci-fi novel only dropped 38% compared to the prior weekend, which is a stellar hold for a movie of this size. The film has now earned 204.7 million domestically to go with 289.4 million internationally for a grand total of 494.1 million worldwide. It should pass 500 million mark by Tuesday. I believe it actually did.
It has.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's at 512 now, so.
And it currently stands as the highest grossing movie of 2024 by a considerable margin. Well, 2024 is not over, but
I mean,
yeah. And again, I think the thing that's going to surpass it might be Beetlejuice. Not in terms of quality of the film, but as far as just popularity sake goes. But yeah, I mean, look, this is a phenomenal movie. I mean, we've been saying it on the show. It's not only phenomenal, it's one of the greatest movies ever made, is by my estimation. This is a massive achievement. As they said, for a movie of this size to do as well as it has is remarkable. It's spectacular, and we can't sing its praises enough. Jose, do you think it hits the billion? I mean, are we heading in that direction? What do you think? It's very tricky at this
it
point.
seems, I mean, yeah, it kind of is tricky at this point because I would have thought that it would have been way past the 500 million at this point.
It deserves it. That's for sure.
That's what I mean. That's why I thought that it would already be like way past the 500 million at this point. So as sad as it is to say, I don't think it'll hit a billion.
Yeah.
It'll get close, maybe like 700, 800 million, but I don't think it'll hit the billion, which is sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, still 700, 800 million is really good for
it's going to make a nice
movie,
profit. Yeah.
Kind of a movie kind of this niche, as this Dune franchise is. I think 700, 800 million is still, it's very well deserved, and that's still a lot of money. Which is good for Denis because
make his third movie.
We all want to see him do.
Yeah,
we all want to see him make his third movie. Which I have read that he said that if he ever does do it, it'll only be because it'll be better than the sequel, which is pretty high talk. That's that's pretty hard to do. I mean, I believe in him. I think he can do it because I mean he made Dune Part Two even better than Part One. So I have no doubt in my mind that he can make Dune Messiah even better than Dune Part Two. And so I think that people and this box office just goes to show, the people's pockets are talking right now. Everyone is going out and watching this
Yeah,
a thousand times. I've already seen it 4 times in the
me
theaters, and I'm
too.
about to go watch it a fifth time just because
Yeah,
that's how much I love it.
that's the thing you got to
Um,
remember. Like, we're big fans, and 4 times eight just ain't enough
exactly,
for us. You know what I mean? And so it could
exactly.
the repeat viewings on this are going to help it. And just because one weekend
Yes,
doesn't do as well as another one, I mean, this weekend we will see significant drop off because of Ghostbusters, right? But
right.
um, hey, I think people want to see Ghostbusters once. They want to see Dune 2 5 6 times in the theater, and yeah,
You gotta remember, King Kong's also coming as well, so that's gonna be another one that's gonna kind of
that just
compete there
happened.
as well with oh
Go ahead.
yeah,
I'm gonna fix that.
King Kong's another one that's coming as well in the next week or so. So Dune's gonna have to kind of sort of compete not just with Ghostbusters but with King Kong,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
ex Godzilla. So that's gonna
We'll
be
see drop
so yeah. I
off.
mean, there
Yeah.
might be some weeks that we'll see drop off, but I mean, people are still like you said, people are gonna go watch Ghostbusters once, go watch Godzilla X Kong once, but they're gonna watch Dune like
Yeah.
6 7 times in the theaters just
Yeah.
because it's a literal cinematic masterpiece. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
it's perfect from beginning to end. Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's bad with it. And so,
Yeah, and here's a good
yeah,
example too. Like, I was looking at I'm not saying this is absolutely the case, but I was looking at a 70 millimeter screening and nearly sold out even now. My point is like, I think some people too who haven't seen it or have the mindset of, I'm gonna wait till the audience dies down. People don't like crowds, and they might be waiting for this thing to not be as crowded as it's been to go see it. You know what I mean? I do think word of mouth might prevail here, and I'm not gonna say it's impossible it hits the billion. But the great news, like you said, is it is gonna profit. Denis proved his
right,
point to the studio. Hey, don't put this on HBO Max on the
yeah,
same day. It will make money, and he proved that point.
right,
And again, it's well deserved. In my estimation, again, he did make one of the greatest films of all time, and that just doesn't happen these days, where you can call something a top 25 film of all time. And I think Denis hit it. And I think we do all want to see Doom Part 3. And I think audiences like us are going to make sure it gets there, come hell or high water.
for sure,
And because we speak with our wallets, right? And that's at the end of the
facts,
day, the studios are listening, they're paying attention. And I do think that it still
facts,
does need to show. I mean, even if you look at, and I said this movie's better to me, but even if you look at like Avatar, what those movies have done, they're a little bit more on the headier sci-fi side. You know what I mean? And they're complex,
right,
and they start paying attention. This is what I'm saying to these studios. Look at the storytelling, and it prevails every single time. Like, you can't
right,
deny it at this point, and this is a huge deal. It really, really is. And I'm really
right,
hoping for better movies. I hope that that's the result. If anything else, is just movies just get better because they're paying attention finally.
for
You know
sure,
what I mean? People looked at the first Dune movie and laughed it off, but you know what? As Denise said, if he didn't put it on HBO Max the same day, would have made money, and he's proved it. You know what I mean? That's all there was to
right,
it. So, all
for
right.
sure.
Yeah, guys. Staying on the sci-fi track, we are going to get to we got one more story not to do with sci-fi, so I apologize. And then we're gonna, move on to our final segment of the show after this. So, we have one more story here that I thought was fascinating, kind of a older story that we didn't really get to, but I do want to talk about because I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. We'll kind of make this as two for a little bit. Bad Boys 4 moves release date up to get toe to toe with the Crow reboots. And in a curious Sony Pictures move, Sony Pictures responds to Lionsgate's release date switch with Ballerina and The Crow by having Will Smith / Martin Lawrence film open up the same weekend. All right, yeah. So let's go through this here really quick. Sony is seemingly asking Lionsgate, "What you gonna do?" Oh Jesus, what you gonna do now that Bad Boys 4 is coming for you? Oh, they make jokes. It was recently reported that the John Wick spin-off Ballerina starring Ana de Armas will be undergoing extensive reshoots, which will push the release date back from June 7th, 2024 to June 6th, 2025, according to John Wick star Ian McShane. Their new shooting for Ballerina, okay, it's like they've gotten they got to protect the franchise, and they want to make it better because they have to protect the franchise. What a weird statement. Okay. However, Lionsgate, in need of a summer release, would move the Crow reboot, which comes from filmmaker Rupert Sanders and stars Bill Skarsgård, into Ballerina's original release date. Deadline now reports that Sony is gunning for the same release date for their Will Smith and Martin Lawrence buddy cop action comedy sequel. Bad Boys 4 was originally slated for a premiere on June 14th, but after the news of The Crow being moved up, they decided to release the film a week earlier on June 7th to go toe-to-toe with Lionsgate's Bad Boys 4, which is still the working title, is a highly budgeted, higher profile summer release that will be getting IMAX and other premium screen showings. It follows two Michael Bay directed entries in a recent third film that drove its worldwide box office to a total of $841 million at the global box office. The action sequel is assumed to be big enough to win out its weekend release, so moving up to become a direct competitor to a movie like The Crow is a curious move. Okay, I actually don't think so, and I'm going to talk about why. All right, so for me, I think that this is smart. I'm gonna tell you, this is I think that they are actually not forcing it. I think that this is an organic situation, or could become another organic Barbenheimer situation, where you have, what are you going to see? Bad Boys 4 or Crow? You know, I think people are going to be trending that on TikTok and things of that nature. So my take on Bad Boys 4 in general is, you know, the first Bad Boys is fun. I always think Michael Bay's storytelling is a little weak, but I always enjoyed those characters, and I think 2 was a massive downgrade, and I was like, if you take Michael Bay's directing off of these things and you give these guys a good story, it's going to be great. And boy, was I right with Bad Boys 3. Bad Boys 3 is the best of the series, and because they gave it a great story, because these characters everybody loves, they just wanted a good story. And I'm not going to really dive into the Will Smith controversy, which could hurt this a little bit, but I do think that this movie is going to be wildly successful. I think there's a lot of people still anticipating the follow-up to Bad Boys 3, which, by the way, they really fucked up by calling that one Bad Boys for Life. This one should be Bad Boys for Life. If you want to make, if you want, because it is the fourth movie, yes, right? Yeah. They could have used the number 4, but whatever. I'm not in marketing, so what do I know? But this, and here's the thing, guys. I mean, to anybody questioning this move, The Crow's reception has not been great. It's not. The trailer, I know a lot of people that are upset about it, but Bad Boys is one of those movies, I think, because of how great that third movie is, a lot of people will go see it. Now that's not to say like The Crow didn't have cool moments in that trailer. It certainly did. I didn't think it was an amazing trailer, but I thought it had good moments. I'm not overly thrilled about the premise of it, but I do think that some of the action moments in that trailer were really good. So I'm just going to ask you, Jose, Bad Boys 4, The Crow, which one are you going to see?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, Bad Boys 4.
Yeah.
Come on now. Like, I loved the whole Bad Boys franchise.
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence, you know, I love that guy. You know, he's been in a lot of my favorite movies that I've seen. Obviously, Will Smith. Who doesn't like Will Smith? He's also been in just some fantastic stuff. So yeah, man, their chemistry in the movies.
Yeah.
You could say what you want about the movies, whether you like them or not. Their chemistry is just absolutely hilarious. Every time I see them on screen together, I know I'm gonna have a laugh because they just bounce the comedy that they, and sometimes even when they're not trying to be funny, they're funny, and it's just because that's just how they are when they bounce off of each other.
Yeah,
it's just pure comedy. It's hilarious. I know I'm gonna have a good time every time I watch them on the screen together. So definitely Bad Boys 4. I honestly can't wait for it. I'm actually really excited.
Yeah. I do think it has a better chance than the Crow remake. So again, I'm not baffled by this move as a lot of the insiders are. I think that, again, this makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? I do think that the Crow remake is going to be a big deal because people are going to be curious. You know what I mean? The Crow's a big deal to a lot of people. I think people are going to be curious about the remake, even though the trailer hasn't had the best reception all around the board. Again, I thought it had cool moments, but Bad Boys 4 to me is a much bigger deal, man. I love that third movie, man. I think the third movie it's so well done, and I thought they did such a great job with it, and it's so fun, and it was one of those movies I'll never forget it. It was like a January release. I was like, okay, I mean the story's gonna be dog shit, but I'm gonna go watch it to have fun, and the story wasn't dog shit. You know, they got a new director on it, and they made sure that it had a good story, and it was the most critically acclaimed Bad Boys to date. You know, and they did a good job on that third movie, man. They gave the characters more depth, which was very nice to see. I think the pairing of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and again, we're gonna controversy aside, you know, punishment fit the crime, and I'm moving on. 100%, exactly. Man. I think Will Smith was ready to get back and make that money, man. Which I think Bad Boys 4 is going to be a smash hit. So, I mean,
I think the other thing.
Go ahead.
What did you say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear what you were
I was going to say that I like how they're having the same two directors that directed Bad Boys for Life on this one as well. I feel like that's the perfect move because they just did so well with Bad Boys for Life that it only makes sense that they just, you know, bring the same two guys back again.
Yeah.
And Vanessa Hudgens as well. I just remember she's in Bad Boys 3 and now she's going to be in this one too. So I can't wait to see her again.
Yeah.
In this one as well.
Just like Sony, when somebody wrote Morbius and it did terribly, let's move those writers to the next one so it does just as terribly. So I think it's the same logic here, right? Right, everybody?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Jesus Christ, Madam Web. I can't get over how bad that movie is. Anyway,
bro, honestly, oh my gosh.
What a poor decision. Anyway, super stoked for Bad Boys 4 in general. I'm glad it's coming out earlier. That's the other big thing, is we're getting it a lot sooner than we were thinking. So that's going to be very nice. A lot of fun. Yeah, man, just stoked, just all around stoked for it. I'm hoping for a trailer any minute now, though, right? I mean, we should be getting a trailer here pretty soon. The Crow trailer,
especially since it's been. I was about to say since it's been pushed up as well.
Yeah. I think they released some like small footage, but I don't think there's been like an official trailer yet. So still waiting on that. But very, very excited for this, guys. Let us know which one of those two you're gonna go see in the theater. And we can move on to our final segment of the day.
I mean, let's be realistic. We're probably gonna watch both of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. My curiosity is gonna get the better of me. And I'm going to go see Crow despite some of my nitpicks about the premise and stuff. I'll still want to see the movie. All right, guys, look, we're going to move into our final segment of the day, and that segment is, Jose, line us up.
Sup with Star Wars.
That's right. You got it, sir. And let's see, what is up with Star Wars? Well, some interesting stuff.
What is up with Star Wars?
Let me start here. We do actually have a lot of Star Wars, but let me start here because this has been a bigger year for Star Wars than we thought, right? Because, initially, we had the Dark Forces remaster come out. Bad Batch has been phenomenal so far. Both of those things have been phenomenal. And then they announced the Battlefront Classic remake. And on top of that, we're going to have Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. And it's like, this is a massive year for Star Wars again. And Star Wars Outlaws is coming out this year. That game's going to be hopefully awesome. I think it looks awesome.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So, Battlefront Classic Collection, I'm going to talk about this just as I did with Dark Forces. It did come out, so I did pre-order it, and I was on my console at midnight, ready to play with my friends, and they were on at midnight as well, ready to play this thing online, because that was the big selling point for this thing. And we just can't have nice things, because just like everybody else, we were all very disappointed when this game was pretty much broken. This was a bummer with this Battlefront Classic Collection.
I've heard nothing but horrible things about this, honestly.
Let me dive into this. We were all ready to play, and they opened up about 3 servers. I think each of us had a different version of the game, so none of our games looked the same. Opening on 30 servers pretty much tells me that for some reason they were only anticipating about 200 people joining on for the online element of this. Don't ask me why that was the logic when this was one of the most hyped up things ever in Star Wars gaming. So very interesting. I was very, very saddened by the online of this and what the big selling point was. Well, I will say this. Going back to the single player, playing it on the PS5 has worked astoundingly well. I've really enjoyed the single player. I know some people were reporting cutscenes were missing. I didn't have that issue. The controller enhancements, just like Dark Forces, are very, very cool. I think, again, the single player has ran incredibly well, and online is getting better. We have played a few games now. It took a few days for it to improve, but it has gotten better. I'm able to get into servers, and the servers actually last a little while. I did join a couple of hero games. I forgot what they call them in the classic ones, but yeah, we did a couple of hero missions, and for some reason the Cantina song just played on a loop. Can't really explain that one to you. But I hate that song now, so thank you for that. Basically, yeah, it was odd, and then eventually I just lost audio altogether. The game has crashed on me multiple times, so I think that this was just such a huge botch. I don't know how they botched this bad. This is kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean?
You can thank you can thank Asper for that.
Kind of glad they got that Knights of the Old Republic remake taken out from under them, and somebody else is working on that now. Thank God. This was piss poor, and I feel bad because this one is like, it's not even a Disney thing. You know what I mean? Like, you can hardly blame Disney for this, even though they're gonna get the blame, because people like to shit on them. But you really can't.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've heard that the PC versions are even worse than console.
Yeah,
like
console's getting
Steam is having the worst time right now with this game.
Yeah. Console's
and I'm
better.
glad I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm glad I didn't get it on my PC. Even though I could have realistically gotten a refund, I'm just glad I waited to see what the reviews were saying before buying it.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm actually just trying to, and I haven't gotten the Dark Forces remastered yet either. I know that one's way better. It's
I
just
recommend that
now,
highly. Yes.
The thing is right now is I'm saving up for something else that's coming in the future. I know it's not Star Wars related, but it's just a game that I really have a lot of hype for, and I honestly can't wait to start playing the beta, which I've already signed up for when it releases, and that's the Dune Awakening game.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I get you. But all right, look, at the end of the day, though, again, it was nice to play the single player campaigns. I do think that they do work very well. Again, the controller enhancements, if they can get the online to work, everything's going to be good. You know, if they just fix these little bugs. Do I think it's as terrible as people were making it out to be? No. But you know, I get it though, that this should not have been botched, especially with all the excitement. So I was upset too, believe me, when we were trying to play online. We were all just ready to go, and they should have had this ready to go, and this felt like they didn't even test this thing before they released it, which was like, it was very disappointing and sad. Stop making, for gaming companies that do this, stop making beta testers out of your consumers. That's not why we're here. So please stop doing that. However, like I said, if you guys want your real classic Star Wars experience, get that Dark Forces remaster. It's fire. I think I screwed up too on when I was reviewing it. I think I said Asper also put out the Dark Forces remaster. They did not.
They didn't. No,
it was Night Dive, right? So I think I screwed that up. I apologize when I reviewed it last time. But anyway, I hate to start out on the sour note, but hopefully it's the only sour note of the day, because like I said, I think everything we got moving forward here is actually pretty exciting. So I'm actually excited to dive into the rest of the Star Wars news. But that's my review of the game pretty much, is like, guys, it's just, maybe just wait a few days before you get it. You know, wait till everybody's like, okay, it's fixed. You know what I mean? But again, if you just want the single player aspects of it, for the most part, that has worked very well. I thought they did a very nice job on a lot of that. That was the part they put work into. And yeah, I've enjoyed the single player. There's definitely audio mixing issues. I think they could do that a little better, but we'll get there hopefully. But I have had fun doing it on console again. I think that was the big selling point. Another big selling point is having it on console again. So yeah, I must say, if you're gonna do it on console, if you're a PC person, maybe don't get it. You can get the originals and mod them out, and they'll probably work just as well. So, but for me, I just enjoy the console experience of it, and so yeah, it's not a complete waste. But yeah, the online was very disappointing, and it's working better now, thank God. I do wish they would add a party system. So if you're looking for a game with a party system, don't expect that. But whatever. It's the same game, just with a resolution upgrade. And that's the best thing I can say. Dark Forces, though. Grab that one. 100% worth your time. You'll play that campaign multiple times. It's so fun. It's never been more satisfying to shoot people in a Star Wars game. So, Dark Forces, grab it. All right. Yeah, so that's my initial disappointing news. A little quick update. This weekend is going to be a very exciting weekend for me. I am going to be meeting two awesome people this weekend, that being Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson. And I just wanted to share my excitement with all of you on that. So that'll be fun. And then maybe some other surprise guests, maybe possibly I'll be able to meet. So very, very excited about that. So just want to throw that out there. I can't wait for that. I'll have to update you guys on how all that goes once we do another show here. But yeah, that'll be my weekend. That's another reason we weren't going to be able to get to Ghostbusters this week, is I'm going out of town. But yeah, very excited to meet Hayden and Rosario, and then we're going to go watch a panel with the two of them, so it's going to be a lot of fun as well. So can't wait for that. All right, but let's move into some of the more fun stuff. We'll get that envious look off Jose's face over there, right? No, man. I hope you get to have the same experience one day, genuinely. And
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day.
Unless mine goes terribly, then I'll be like, hey, don't go meet them. But, anyway.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. Yeah, it could go either way. All right, so this one was an interesting thing. Beetlejuice ain't the only thing coming back from the dead, apparently, because we have this story here.
The Undertaker. I'm just kidding. Oh.
Star Wars Rogue Squadron back in development, Patty Jenkins said. Okay, so I mean, we all remember the announcement, right, of Rogue Squadron, right? That announcement video that's just kind of lingering there, pretty embarrassing. But at the same time, like, it's we were all excited about it, I think. For the most part, I certainly was. I thought a Rogue Squadron movie, Top Gun in space, would be fantastic. I love the way that Patty explained how this was going to tie into her father was in the Air Force, and she had this like passion for this, and she was just so excited to mix two things that she loved together. It was a great announcement video, man. And then it's just been kind of lingering and dead. It's happening, it's not happening, but it's happening again. Rogue Squadron back in development, Patty Jenkins says. This is coming from IGN. Patty Jenkins said her previously shelved Star Wars project, Rogue Squadron, is back in development. The Wonder Woman director shared the update during an interview with the Talking Pictures podcast. It's a surprising update for those who thought the fighter pilot focused spinoff would never land, but Jenkins says she is at least back writing a draft now that her schedule has opened up. When I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3 and I started working on that, we talked about, well, maybe I'll come back to Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3. So we started a deal for that to happen. She said when Wonder Woman 3 then went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, we've got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning. So now I owe a draft to Star Wars. All right. So that's pretty much the gist of it. And for me, this goes to show, like, look, there's just like multiple people out there that when they don't hear about a project for a little while, it's dead, it's not happening, And this is why we take these things with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? Now, we could take this one of two ways. I mean, she owes a draft, right? But I feel like if they weren't interested in all, they wouldn't waste their time, right? Like with writing up a draft of Rogue Squadron. And I do think that I think what they're going to go with here is I think they're going to accept her draft. And the hope would be is just if they like it, they'll greenlight it, right? They'll go the rest of the way with it. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this. That's the vibe I'm getting anyway. She owes them a draft, so they'll take the draft, they'll read over it. If they like it, they'll continue with it. If not, they're not going to waste their time with it. But I do think that they're interested in reading a draft, and seeing what she can come up with. And for me at this point, until I hear somebody at Lucasfilm officially say this project's dead, it ain't dead, And, you say what you want about Wonder Woman 84. Patty Jenkins is a great director. She got Charlize Theron her Oscar, and because Monster was an incredible performance and great movie. And the first Wonder Woman was DCU's first real smash hit, DCEU's first real smash hit at the time. So, say what you will, but there's that. She's got she's got accolades on the shelf, you know. I have heard, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I've obviously also heard the rumors that she is very difficult to work with. But I don't know if that attitude's changed after having Wonder Woman kind of ripped away from her. Maybe she'll, you know, do a little bit of an attitude adjustment and say, you know what, I can't. That's the consequence of being difficult to work with, you know. And you know, I gotta compromise a little bit when working with these studios. You know, I do think that Wonder Woman the first one is a perfect example of a director and a studio coming together and compromising and meeting in the middle on things, and not, you know what I mean, and not anybody having an ego in the picture. And maybe 84's results was a little bit more ego centric on one side of it. Maybe somebody thought that, you know, the most creative, they wanted to have creative control, and maybe because they threw a fit, I'm just speculating, maybe because they threw a fit, they let the person have the creative control that maybe shouldn't have, and we got a bad result, right? Even though I'm in the minority and I liked 84, but either way, my point is you know, people can change, and attitudes can adjust. And this is, and let's be honest, Wonder Woman 3 isn't the first project she got stripped away from her. Thor: The Dark World she was supposed to do, and that got stripped away from her too, for apparently being difficult to work with. So that's the rumors I've heard anyway. And again, rumor, will classify that as rumor, but I'm still very excited. I do believe her when she says she's passionate about Rogue Squadron, and I was excited for the project. Jose, what's your take on Rogue Squadron?
Well, for one, I'm happy that seems like it's going to be happening.
Seems like, yeah, cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was one that I was very. It was up there, you know, in one of my highly anticipated.
Yeah.
Especially since I own the entire book series, Legend book series of the Rogue Squadron, the X-Wings. You know, like the X-Wing series that has Rogue Squadron in it.
Yeah.
After reading that, it kind of excited me more and more and more.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in a way happy that Wonder Woman 3, you know, was kind of ripped away from her. Because especially after seeing in my opinion, the disaster that was Wonder Woman 84. I just don't really feel like Wonder Woman 3 would have done anything, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
And I really did want to see her, you know, tackle the Star Wars project, and it just seemed like she was very, very passionate.
Yeah.
About doing this one. So I'm happy that it seems like this one's actually gonna be happening. Do I think it'll be a movie? Maybe. I have read reports, and these are obviously just reports that,
right.
You know, nothing's really set in stone. But I have read reports. One from the Hollywood Reporter actually saying that Kathleen Kennedy said in 2023 that this could even be a TV series, instead of a movie. So could I see this being a show? Yeah. I could see it going either way, either a movie or a show. Which one would I prefer? I'm not too sure. For something like this, I probably would prefer a show because I feel like you could do a lot more.
Yeah.
Versus a movie. So I feel like this could possibly do better as a show. Now, would that be something that Patty Jenkins could tackle? Maybe. I don't know if I've ever really seen her tackle a series or episodes of a series.
Yeah.
But I feel like it could be something interesting for her to try and tackle. Especially if she's actually gonna, like, you know, like you said, like turn a leaf and like not be as hard to work with.
I hope
or
so.
just stop being hard to work.
Yeah.
You know, stop being hard to work with in general. Because I definitely do feel like that needs to go, especially with a company like Disney.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what happens to people who are hard to work with. With Disney.
They get sent on a trip to Belize. That's what happens to them. Yeah.
That mouse, you know, that white mouse, black and white mouse is always there, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, no, I'm highly optimistic and happy that it seems like this, you know, this Rogue Squadron project. Yeah. I'll just call it a project because we don't know if it's going to be a movie or a show.
We don't know. Yeah.
The Rogue Squadron project.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to happen, and I'm highly optimistic that it will happen, and I'm really excited to see what it is that she ends up doing with this. In terms of the whole part where it says that she said that she owes a script.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. In a sense, she does.
Yeah.
But
she's contractually
I guess at the same
obligated
time,
to
she
write
also
it. No.
Yes, she is, but does she technically owe them one? In a sense, kind of, but also in a sense, no, because they also just scrapped her project.
I don't know
So
that they did though. That's the
more
thing.
like
Like that's always kind of been up in the air. You know
true,
what I mean? So we don't really
true,
know. I mean, we've heard
true.
rumors, but like I think if she says she owes them a script, I think that means like legally she has to at least write a script. You know what I mean? They have
True.
to at least review
Yeah,
it.
true.
Now they don't have to accept it. Again, I don't think that that's
Right.
they could always look at the
Right.
script and be like, yeah, our instinct was right. We don't want to go with this. But I think
Right.
legally she has to
Right.
write it. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in on that. But
Yeah, no. But you know, I'm like I said, I'm happy that Wonder Woman 3 just kind of fell through and was kind of taken. Will Wonder Woman 3 happen in the future by someone else? Who knows? Do I want it to happen? No.
I
But
don't think it is. I think it's
I'm
done.
just
But
yeah, honestly, and I'm happy that it's not going to happen. And I'm happy that, you know, Patty Jenkins is not able to venture
yeah.
into a project that I feel like she was maybe a little more excited to do than Wonder Woman 3.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think we're kind of looking at a case of maybe somebody who had too much on their plate. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of
Yeah.
what I was getting from a
No,
lot
for
of
sure.
comments here, and maybe that. I mean, I think that did affect a lot of things. I think she was like she signed on to Star Wars. I think that she, was struggling to get one or the other done, and she also had the Cleopatra movie, if I'm not mistaken, with Gal
Yeah.
Gadot as well. So she had a lot on her plate at once. I think she just had to kind of like drop some things and do some retrospective. And I think Lucasfilm maybe have been gracious enough to give her that time. And now looking back, maybe she, they had a conversation. As she said, this wasn't that long ago. It was right before the strike. So it's very realistic, to me that they did have a conversation. They were like, hey, have you taken your time? We're still waiting on that script. Let's see what we can do with it. So maybe that was the case. I don't
Right.
know, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, just to wrap it up, I mean, I'm just excited that
Yeah.
she's able to come back to this and actually work on this and focus fully on this and not have too much to juggle, because that is also something that um is a something that writers shouldn't really be doing, because if you try tackling too much, then you're gonna be just you're putting out quantity over quality, and that's just not what we need in the film industry. So I'm happy that she's able to fully focus on this, and I'm praying and I'm highly optimistic that the script that she's owing to Disney and Star Wars is actually one that they'll love and want to adapt, whether it's a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, just to add one extra caveat to this too, I do think that this is going to be partially dependent on how the Rey movie does, the New Jedi Order film, because Rogue Squadron, from our understanding, was supposed to take place after Episode 9. So I think they're going to look at, they're going to wait on that box office a little bit here too. So even if they like the script a lot, I do think it's going to be dependent on how people respond to post Episode 9 content, and that time period. And if New Jedi Order does well, I think it will boost the excitement a little bit for a Rogue Squadron. So I think I would hope, if they're smart, they're going to wait on that box office results for the New Jedi Order film, and then so we're still talking maybe
Right.
5-6 years down the line for this thing. So I mean, it's not nothing to get like excited about yet, but it is interesting that this is still a possibility. And I hope if they don't go with Patty Jenkins' take, as you said, the books, Rogue Squadron books, have popularity. The games are still fairly beloved. I know that they had some of the better storylines in their games. I kind of want to go back and play them, to be honest with you. People really like those Rogue Squadron games. They had a huge response. I think the name alone will get hardcore fans excited. Yeah. So comes down to the script.
And it makes me want to revisit the specifically the Rogue Squadron X-wing book. Because I feel like there's definitely a lot of storyline there as well that can be used. Obviously it's Legends, so it's not canon, so you don't obviously they're not gonna do it fully adapt, but there's stuff in there you can definitely take and adapt into a screenplay. So
100%.
yeah, for sure.
100%. All right. Look, guys, let us know if you're excited for the Rogue Squadron film, and we got exciting stuff to talk about just moving forward here. Jose, I know this is the one that you're looking forward to most of the Star Wars stories. We were talking about Star Wars The Acolyte trailer, and we've been waiting on this thing, and it finally did drop. And we have not had a chance to talk about it here on the show. I did do a reaction on the channel, so if you guys want to watch that, you can. But Jose and I have not really had a chance to talk about it together, other than I think we both told each other we enjoyed it. But I mean, what was your impressions, Jose, overall? You can dive in now completely on this. I know you've been waiting, so.
Okay.
Yep.
As someone who isn't, fully versed in the High Republic books or anything like
Same.
that,
Yeah.
Disney finally listened to me and answered my plea to get something dark and Sith, heavy. Which off the bat from the trailer alone, you can tell it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
Something we've never seen really in
Mhm.
Star Wars. Which I'm here for. The trailer, just from the opening, I knew that this is gonna be amazing. Honestly, I loved seeing Amanda Stanbert with her character. That was a really cool like assassin character.
Yes. Yes. Not
Um,
Acolyte, which
with
I
her
said in my trailer
like little
reaction,
knives
but
and
sorry,
stuff
go
that
ahead.
she's throwing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's gonna be really cool. Also, having Jonas Sotama voicing the
Mhm.
the Wookiee Jedi. That's gonna be really cool as well. I can't wait to see, how that transcends. Um, the shots in this, the cinematography, it's already looking amazing. The scoring already also just sounds intense and dark
Mhm.
and very heavy.
Mhm.
Which I can't wait to just hear it in its entirety when this show does
Yeah.
does drop. The ending scene in the trailer was probably my favorite part, without a doubt, because it just is so dark and just it just shows like how powerful right now in this time that the Sith are compared to the Jedi,
Mhm.
and I'm here for it. Honestly, I know you always root for the Jedi, the good side, but I'm one that I love rooting for the bad guys, and so I'm here for it. I can't wait to
You're like De
see
Niro and Goodfellas. Yeah.
how these Sith. I just can't wait to see how these Sith, do their thing in this show. I'm here for it. I can't wait. And honestly, the trailer just excited me a lot. Even as someone who doesn't, who isn't well versed with the High Republic stuff, I know what's gonna happen in this show just based off of this trailer, and that's
Yeah.
what I love to see in trailers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll jump off a little bit here. My first impressions, you guys again can watch my reaction, but first impressions off this thing, when it started up and I saw the kids, I was like, oh god, I saw the younglings per se. I was like, oh no, they're doing a kiddie thing. And then it kind of kept going, and the more I processed it, I mean, the better it's just gotten to me. I think I was definitely thrown off because it does look and feel so fresh and new, and it is a new time period, and I'm not as well versed in the High Republic books, although what I've read a few, have been very good, and I do want to continue my journey, especially now with this trailer. Seeing a world with a ton of Jedi in it was also super exciting, and it's definitely dark, as you said, the way the music swelled, which granted, that's trailer music, may not be the music in the final product, but it was still like, this trailer did a good job setting the tone, and I think that's all it really wanted to do. So I'm very excited for the full trailer. We're also getting an extended look with the Phantom Menace in theaters coming back, so that's going to be really awesome to check out. But so I'm looking more forward to that. I definitely would say, for myself, I need a little bit more before I can make a full opinion on it, but I have enjoyed what I've seen. I mean, it looks like it's being done on location. With the one exception of the Coruscant shots, everything else looks like it's done on location. The cinematography was beautiful. Even the Coruscant shots looked a little bit more akin to what they looked like in Andor, so I was very happy with that. It didn't look as Ahsoka, it looked more Andor to me. I have gripes with Coruscant and Ahsoka, but I'll save that for another day maybe. But yeah, the way it looked in the trailer looked pretty good for the most part. It was nice to be back in the Jedi Temple. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I really, as Star Wars fans, we do tend to get a little bit nitpicky. I will say, the lightsabers still looking, just for some reason, those blades look just a little bit fat to me. I don't know what it is, but this time around, it looked a little more of like a stylistic choice, unlike Obi-Wan, where it just looked like the props were just bad. Like this looked a little bit more stylized in that way, and maybe that's just the tone they want to set for High Republic. And so I was very happy with that. I'm very optimistic on this one. I know a lot of people. Most people have been optimistic after the trailer, but I've heard some gripes and nitpicks, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I get, getting nitpicky about it, but we have no idea what this is. This is brand new and fresh to most of us. The High Republic, while it has its audience, is also, or has its readers, has also been a very niche thing. I mean, I know Leslie Headland has spoken out about, she does hope that this gets more people into the publishing of it. So that was great. Another thing that worries me is definitely the announcement of these are going to be like 30-minute episodes. I'm like, oh, gosh, come on. So I'm hoping that it's a good, fulfilling 30 minutes for 8 episodes a piece. The finale is going to be 40 minutes from my understanding. That's the word right now going around. So it obviously that has me sort of cautious. But I do again, and it was a little bit more, I'm not complaining, by the way. I did really like this trailer. I've watched it quite a bit. But I gotta say, another thing that has me cautious, it was just a little bit more Jedi heavy than I was anticipating as well. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of the Sith being embraced, but we've only seen this little, it's a very small teaser, and I'm keeping that in mind, and I do think that they do want to show people the Jedi. You know what I mean? I think they want to show that this is a time period where the Jedi are definitely full in it. And what it really intrigues me about it, and I know this would sound like a bad thing, but to me it's not. Like when I was reacting to the trailer, when you're watching like the Ahsoka trailer, right? Like that had us like jumping for joy and screaming and out of our seats. This one was a little bit more of a reserved reaction, but I actually think that that's a compliment to it because it's being a little bit more grounded and darker, and that intrigue is there, and the curiosity is there a lot more. With Ahsoka, we kind of knew a little bit of what we were getting, so the fan service is there, and we're kind of like, yeah. This is more grounded, dark, a little more reserved, and I think that the reaction was apt, you know, for something like this. And I do like the mystery of it. I'm very intrigued by the story of this. It is darker. I thought the poster was fantastic too. Just seeing the lightsaber with blood splatter behind it was like really neat. I was like, whoa, man, I wasn't expecting that. So that's interesting as well. I hope that's not mismarketing, but man, I mean, again, the tone hit me, man. It really did. I was like, this is a lot of what I've been looking for. You know what I mean? I do think it is going to be a good balance of that storytelling with the spectacle of having the Jedi and the Force and all that. So I'm just hoping it's a perfect mixture of the tone of Ahsoka and Andor. You know what I mean? I want those two worlds to collide, but also just be dark, and we're learning more about the Sith and the rise of the Sith. I have questions. I definitely do, because it does feel like the Jedi were very unaware of the Sith in Phantom Menace, which is something I didn't think about till recently. So I have questions about how they're going to explain that. But as they also said, this is going to be a multi-season show. They're looking into this being a multi-season ordeal, which is also exciting. And I know, like, with Ahsoka, for example, a lot of people, when that ended, they were like, I need more. It's like, we're getting more, guys, you know? And it's going to be the same thing here. So even if the show ends in a place where it's like, it's cliffhangery, I'm not going to be upset by that. I just want it to get me in. You know, I need the first season to pull me in and make me a fan, and I need the pacing to be right, and I just want the filmmaking of it to be right. And so, and all of that looks right, you know? So I'm not upset about this at all. Again, I made that mistake of calling Amanda Stenberg the Acolyte in my reaction. From my understanding, she is just an assassin, not the Acolyte. The Acolyte apparently is not what we think it is, according to Leslie Headland as of recent comments. So I'm very, very curious and excited to see what all that's about. And yeah, I just love how much intrigue this trailer left for me. You know what I mean? I think that was the biggest thing, is like the intrigue, the curiosity I have for what the hell this is. I loved it, man. I really did. I loved it for all of that. Again, even with my minor nitpicks. And, oh, by the way, hand-to-hand combat. Very, very cool. I was like, see, that's fresh. You know what I mean? We saw a scene with a knife, not a lightsaber, but a knife. It was like real hand-to-hand combat, and carry on Moss dodging shots left and right was cool. Yeah.
That's actually something I wanted to piggyback off of, is I liked seeing the Jedi like stop her knives with like the Force, and like when that one scene where one of the Jedis like caught her like foot, and then she did like a flip and tried to like kick him again.
Neat
that was
stuff.
really cool.
Yeah.
And that was actually something. Yeah, that was actually something that I was talking with a classmate today. Was that now that I'm getting a Sith dark heavy based project, now Now what I want is maybe not one, but a couple projects fully focused on like all different kinds of smugglers and bounty hunters. Because if I'm being honest with you, I think I'm kind of getting a little over the whole, all just having a bunch of lightsabers and stuff.
Yeah,
Especially with how they're looking and stuff. I
yeah,
kind of want to move it and now get some like bounty hunter and like smuggler heavy
yeah.
projects
I
and kind
agree.
of go like deeper into like their stories and how they became to be the people that they are.
Yeah,
What happened in their lives and stuff like that. Because I'll tell you right now, I've got Legends books here. One is called Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and the other one is Tales of the Smugglers.
right.
And both of those books are phenomenal. Just getting to read the background stories of like how these people became who they are now is really cool. And I feel like there's a lot there that can be served as inspo
Yeah,
for future Star Wars projects. So
yeah,
yeah, those would be some cool things that I'd like to see now.
yeah.
Star Wars Disney tackle for Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, I also, by the way, speaking of what you said too, but I think that's another cool thing about the High Republic era is like there's not just Jedi. You know what I mean? There's not just Jedi-based stories. They're present, from my understanding, in
Right.
every story, but they have given a lot of variety with all the different writers that they have working in the High Republic. They've given a lot of variety and a lot of different things that Star Wars fans are interested. That first book, Light of the Jedi, it's so expansive. There's so much to chew on for all Star Wars fans. And I'm hoping that this show is reflective of that. You know what I mean? Like maybe we will have some episodes that are based around a bounty hunter. Not a la Mandalorian style, but I hope it's one continuous story, but more a la Game of Thrones style, where we have like a lot of different, elements being
Right.
thrown in, and it's lore heavy, and that's what I'm looking
Right.
for, out of this, and I'm hoping that it is, and there's something for every Star Wars fan. As I said, I do like the fact that Mandela Stenberg's not a Force user. She's just an assassin that's highly well trained, out there to, hopefully kill Jedi, and that's neat. I like that, man. That's what I want, man. I want dark stuff. Let's get into it. It looks like we're moving in the right
sure.
direction. That's
Yeah.
the best thing I could say. And bouncing off this just a little bit, I did want to
Yeah,
pull
for
this
sure.
up too, because we do have some figures coming out from looks like Hasbro Pulse is putting out a couple figures, and we have Daphne Keene's character here, as we can see, and Amanda Stenberg's character. So very excited to learn more about these guys, and hopefully these are figures I end up buying. But I just wanted to give a quick look at these really quick before we dove into Bad Batch. But super exciting stuff, guys, that we are getting these, and yeah, man, I can't wait. There's the packaging, just to give you an idea. It is in the Kenner packaging, which I really dig. Yeah, man, this looks great. Lee Jung Jae in this trailer I thought was great, by the way. I think performance wise,
yeah.
I got the most sense off of him, and he does embody exactly what I would want from a Jedi master, per se. So I'm very much looking forward to watching him train these younglings. That part of it hit me more than I thought it would. This just looks pretty fantastic. So I do want to know what everybody else thinks before we dive into Bad Batch. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the Acolyte trailer. Here's the final part of the show. We're going to talk spoilers on the Bad Batch. We have about 4 episodes we haven't caught up with yet with each other here, but thank you guys for joining. If you haven't seen the Bad Batch, go watch it. Come back, watch our spoiler segment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends. For all of you that are leaving now, and Jose and I are going to talk spoilers. You have been warned. All right, so the Bad Batch season 3, or Bad Batch final season, however you want to put it. Dude, this show is awesome. This is peak Star Wars. Like bro, I am so blown away. I've never enjoyed a Bad Batch season this consistently, but this is like it's some of the best Star Wars I've seen that they've put out. 100% easily. We have last time we spoke, we left off at episode 4, so we'll kind of talk about 5 through 8 here a little bit. So dude, like every episode has been just Omega Crosshair developing further and further and further in that relationship, and then watching Crosshair try to rejoin the Batch.
That's why I've got
bro. And Crosshair is becoming one of my favorite Star Wars characters because of this, and it's just going well. I love the relationship between him and Omega, and we don't have to take this episode by episode. By the way, we could just kind of talk openly, but if we're going to talk about episode 5. What was so great about 5 was the fact that we had just seen Dune 2, and then you had not a sandworm, but a snow worm that was like so inspired by Dune. So I loved that so much. That made me so happy. And it was a side quest, but even like this is what's making this season work is like even in their side quests, they're not losing focus on what the main plot is. It's still moving forward.
Yep.
And bro, I mean, I don't know. What have you thought so far, man? And we're at 8 episodes in now. I mean, it's pretty great to me, but
Yeah. Oh no, this is literally one of the best things that Disney has done for Star Wars. This it's just making me love Disney, at least the Star Wars side of it.
yeah,
Again.
this is great stuff. Yeah,
No, you're definitely. I mean, yeah. This. I like how we've gone. You know, from season 2, Omega and Tech relationship building to now a Omega and Crosshair relationship build in this season. I'm absolutely loving it so much. I'm loving how difficult it is for Hunter and Wrecker to kind of put trust back into Crosshair. I think that stuff's really good. And like you said, the side quests don't just feel like side quests because they have purpose. Every single side quest that they've done in the episodes that have been side quests have all had a purpose, all moving forward. They all have meaning and a plan behind it. And yeah, man, I'm just loving every single bit of it. Like you said in episode 5, the whole, we went from sandworm and Dune to now a snow worm in Star Wars, and yeah, it's definitely inspired by Dune, and I'm loving it. A nice Dune. They definitely saw Dune and then did that for that episode.
yeah, yeah.
And the other thing too is I love the kind of struggle that Crosshair is going through mentally, because he
so
thinks
good.
that it's physically, but
It's
you
mentally.
find out that it's mentally.
Yeah.
And I loved that last shot in
Yep.
in episode 8 where Omega is helping him like clear his mind and meditate. I thought that was so
good.
amazing, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly,
They don't really know it,
man,
but you
it's
as
just-
the audience,
it's all been great.
I mean, you as the audience
100%.
knows they're tapping into like the Force a little bit. You know what I mean? They're not going to be Force heavy users, and I don't want them to be, but
Yep.
they are like tapping in just ever so slightly to a Jedi technique, which I really thought was really neat, and just the subtle way they did that, right? Like they didn't like blatantly sit there and say like, "Hey, let's be Jedi." You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
They were like just subtly like tapping into this part Jedi
and I
technique.
I like how Omega was also like,
Yeah, fuck it, I'll smoke on camera.
well, because the
But-
Crosshair goes, "How do you know how to do this?" She's like, "Oh, I learned from some Wookiees on Kashyyyk." He was like, "You've been to Kashyyyk?" She's like, "Yeah, you missed a lot."
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that part. Also, like, really got me as well. That was
yeah,
that hit. Honestly,
so emotionally
also, if you guys didn't know this, I have a
satisfying.
toothpick in my mouth because I'm representing Crosshair.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so we were also introducing 7 and 8 to that new assassin, which I don't know. Do you think that is somebody, or do you think it's going to end up being nobody? That assassin droid, or not droid, but that assassin that's in the helmets. I mean, the only person I was thinking of was maybe Cody. Maybe it's Cody.
I think it could be. I think he's gonna be a pretty big character, honestly, because he obviously survived, and only big characters survive. Because if it was just some like side character, he definitely probably would have just been killed off or whatever, just died right there. But the fact that he survived, there's definitely more to tell with this guy in the future, in future episodes. The other thing that I really liked seeing was Fennec Shen. I thought she was really cool. In episode 8 and what
Yes. Nice to see her back.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And seeing her like just turn on them at the end there was also like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is about to get crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, Fennec was very consistent. I like her used more in this show than I do Boba Fett, and that's kind of crazy to say, but like it's the truth, man. And I like her in Boba Fett, don't get me wrong. I just think that she's used better here, and I like diving into her past to further develop her. So by the time you do get to Boba Fett, like And I actually rewatched the first 2 seasons of Bad Batch recently. This made me want to go back and watch those. And it's like they get better because of this season. This season has enhanced its first 2 seasons, like because all the pieces are coming in and connecting very well, and like it's made this show one of the best Star Wars shows. Man, it really has. I think the work that Filoni and Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao and Saul Ruiz and Nathaniel Villanueva and Stuart Lee have all done on this is just phenomenal stuff, man. I think that they've worked together to create such a beautiful piece of animation. That's the other thing, man. Animation's been just so it always has been with this show. This has been some of the better animation they've done, but like it enhances that even more. The fact that just the animation is good. It's not weak animation, man. I mean, this is really great animation. I fall in love with Omega every week too, man. More and more, and watching her grow and mature, very similar to the arc of Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars. You know, I mean, we're seeing another character that, you know, maybe not everybody took to immediately, you know, kind of grow a lot more into her role. I think Michelle Ng's the voice acting in this is some of the best voice acting in all of Star Wars. I mean, in terms of their animation stuff. I mean, it really is, man. It's top notch. Like it's becoming like these are really good performances.
For sure.
I personally, man, I'm gonna say something that's like crazy. I think Jimmy Simpson as Dr. Hemlock, he should get like an Emmy nomination for this. He is so good as that character, man, and he is villainous, and it is voice acting to a new level. I love the Hemlock stuff in this season so far. We haven't seen a lot of him lately, but yeah, so he's still one of the best aspects. For sure. Knowing his presence is still out there. Oh, yeah, no, so good.
It honestly sends chills down my back just thinking that, you know, knowing his presence is still out there. And every time he talks and he's on the screen, it just always sends chills down my spine. And that just is a testament to his voice acting.
Yeah, it's great.
And I just can't wait to see more of him in future episodes. And one other thing that I wanted to mention that I just thought about too is when, you know, you mentioning Omega's growth, comparing it to Ahsoka's growth in the Clone Wars. It's almost like a reverse though, because like she's almost become like a master to Crosshair, trying to help him through all these problems. And I really like, you know, the way that's been developed and, you know, portrayed on the screen.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see how it in future episodes it just keeps growing and gets stronger and stronger. And I do honestly think that they're gonna, you know, because in one of the episodes too, you saw Hunter was looking at Omega and she was like mimicking what Crosshair was doing because she ended up putting a toothpick in her mouth as well. So it really just goes to show like how close Crosshair and Omega have grown, and how strong the relationship has grown, and how much they trust each other because, you know, they spent so much time together in the same facility.
Yeah.
And I just love it for them, honestly. I love how Omega just can somehow just grow relationships. Like she can either just have relationships straight off the bat with some people, like with Hunter and Wrecker and Echo. And then with others, she has to really work to grow. But in the end, their relationships just grow so strong, and they just become such a happy family. I love like I just love Omega so much. I think she's honestly the strongest character.
Yeah, I love when she called Crosshair little brother too. When she was like, "I'm older than you are, little brother." That was a great line that was thrown out. I think that was in 6 or 7. I can't remember which episode, but that was a great line. I love that so much. Again, man, it just develops every week. I even see like. I thought Wrecker was an obnoxious character in the beginning, and he's even like grown on me in a big way, like throughout these seasons. Like we're starting to see a lot more of that heart of Wrecker and his care for Omega, and that's been growing on me a lot too. So I'm really enjoying that. Yeah, man, the words that Hunter and Tech exchange with one another, it's amazing writing in those sequences. Like it's incredible writing. They've done a great job with the dialogue in this show too, and it's been really, really heavy stuff.
Tech, you mean?
Oh, Hunter and Crosshair exchange, the words that they had with each other when they were arguing throughout that 5th episode, man.
Oh yeah,
Jesus, I mean that was great writing. I mean, just top notch, peak stuff, and Yeah, man, I like the duo dynamic between Crosshair and Omega, like you were saying, like yeah, it's like a dual dynamic because Omega's like a neutral party because she also has to be on the side of the rest of the batch, and I think that stuff that's been like the most exciting dynamic to watch. Like I like that this isn't just a show like Mandalorian where he's like he's got to babysit Grogu and like Obi-Wan's got to babysit Leia. This is a character that they have to babysit, but there's a lot of extra dynamic to the character that plays, and that's nothing against Leia or Grogu, which is I think that this show has had the stronger writing if we're going to compare them, and it's just the truth. I mean, she is just such a great character, and continues to bring the heart to the series, as we said about the meditation scene. Man, it's just the emotions, man, all throughout me, during those scenes, because I am loving that relationship. It continues to grow stronger, and it's not just must-watch Star Wars television. This is must-watch television. Period. It's one of the best shows on TV right now, 100% easily. Super stoked about
For
it,
sure.
and I'm just looking forward to so much more of it. And every time an episode ends, I can't wait for the next week. And it's been that way.
Oh,
I've
same.
I've never felt that way about a Bad Batch season, but this is only enhanced again. The prior two seasons, which work much better in a binge, by the way.
For sure.
So yeah, man, that those are my thoughts on it. I recommend everybody, if you're not on this, if you're not caught up with Bad Batch, the payoff is worth it. It really is.
Oh yeah.
I think we're gonna.
Another thing
Yeah,
that
go
just
ahead.
makes me laugh every time I think about it is how like all of the Bad Batch characters is just one dude talking to himself in different voices. Like it just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, I
But he just
mean,
absolutely like kills it.
standing ovation for D. Bradley Baker, man, because
Oh,
the work he's
100%.
doing here is it's astoundingly good. You know what I mean? I get like he probably records these characters at different times of the day, but it's still astoundingly good. Like he really sells this show. He's carrying a big part of the show. He has to.
He deserves an Emmy. That's what he also
Probably,
deserves
yeah. It's
an Emmy.
no, 100%. It's some of the strongest voice acting, as somebody who's just watched the Clone Wars recently too. This is some of the strongest voice acting he's done. I mean, 100%, man. He's always been great as the clones, but this is like he's taking this material and eating it up in a way that I haven't seen him do. And by the way,
Oh yeah.
outside of the moment in the Clone Wars finale when Ahsoka takes off Rex's helmet, this had my favorite Rex moment when he told, oh gosh, what's the name of that clone? But he told him, like, look at what you're doing. You're about to kill a child. That hit me
Yeah.
so hard, dude. That was like one of the best Rex moments.
That I'm not gonna lie to
ever.
you. That whole exchange
Yeah.
between Rex and that other clone
I can't remember his name,
just
but yeah.
got me, man. It hit, man. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, that whole interaction just hit me different, man.
Yeah,
So-
it's become less of a spin-off of Clone Wars and more of an actual depiction of the aftermath of the Clone Wars. Like, and I'm really enjoying that. Like it is less of a depiction of or a spin-off, I guess, and more of a depiction of the aftermath, and it's become its own show. And that's the other thing I like about this is it's genuinely now, as like more than ever, found its own DNA. And it's not the Clone Wars, it's the Bad Batch, you know what I mean? Like it's a different show, and they pitched it as a spin-off initially, but it's more than that to me. It's a literal depiction of the next chapter, in the next timeline, and it's doing that in ways that I never thought it would, and connecting elements of Star Wars that I didn't think it could, and executing on all of that incredibly well. Like I never really thought we would see a scene of meditation between two characters in the Bad Batch, but tapping into a part of the Force, you know what I mean? And we know that, but it's not in this way again, where they're setting these people up to be Jedi.
His name was
The clone, yeah.
The clone's name was Wolf.
Wolf. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Wolf.
Yeah.
Wolf was his name.
Yeah, that's right. That exchange, man, that was one of my favorite Rex moments, 100% easily. Again, outside of Ahsoka taking off the helmet and seeing the tears in his eyes, that moment was incredibly strong. But this one was probably right with that.
Another,
Go ahead.
For me, from episode 1 all the way till now, for me, I've seen Wrecker as for me, a comedic relief. Every time I swear, every time this dude talks, for me, it just makes me laugh, and I love that I have that kind of
Yeah.
comedic relief away from all of the obvious seriousness
Yes.
and sometimes sadness and stuff like that. I like how they've they're able to put a comedic effect that isn't over the top or annoying. It's like in the perfect times, which is why I've just loved Wrecker. But then I've also like seeing
Hmm.
Wrecker be so vulnerable and
Yeah.
open with Omega and like
Hmm.
caring for her so much
Yeah.
I mean, it's valid as well because Hunter and Wrecker have been looking for Omega for so long that they're just so worried about her and just wanting to know that she's alive and well and wanting her to be back with them. So I love
Yeah.
how they like Wrecker's taking more of this like vulnerable, lovey side because in season 1 and 2 he's been more of like a comedic, like serious, almost like a Wreck-It Ralph character, and now he's taking this more vulnerable, kind of lovey, soft side for Omega. And I love seeing that kind of change in Wrecker in this season.
Yeah, sure. Let me expound on that too. Like I do think he's the comedic relief, but the comedic relief aspect gets better when I can appreciate every other trait of the character as well. Like the both sides of the character just complement one another. Like I am laughing at things he's saying now more than I have in the
Right.
past because of his character just becoming more open and with the exchanges with Omega, as we were saying. Like it's making me appreciate the comical side of him a lot more. And he is the comic relief, you're right, and it's working this season more than it has in past seasons for me. Even though, like I said, I've always liked every single one of these characters. It's just we were seeing so many different sides to them now that and we're diving into them in a big way. And I think that this ending, however they're going to end this thing, is going to be absolutely insane. I think it's going to be intense and emotional, and you could just see the direction of the show. Even though I don't know what the hell's going to happen, which I also like. I also like it's not predictable. We don't know what's going to happen week by week, which is also a very good thing for it. But at the same time, it is like it's making me excited for the ending. It's making me anticipate the ending because of how well it's building to it. And I'm anticipating a very hard hitting emotional ending, man. One of the strong points of the Bad Batch, even in the first 2 seasons, has been their finales. Their finales always hit. And because of how great the season's been through and through, makes me feel like, oh, they're going to go for something major in this finale. Like it's going to be huge. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be dramatic, and it's going to hit. And I mean, I could easily see this going the Rogue One route too, where all of these characters die. I mean, I would hate to see it, but it would tear my heart out. But on the same hand, that's good. That's good dramatic storytelling at the same time. If you can execute that right.
It's also honestly yeah, because that's one thing that I was gonna say is that if seeing how the show's going so far, I can definitely tell that this one's gonna end, especially since this is the final season.
Yeah.
It's not gonna end with a cliffhanger. It's gonna end in a way that
Yeah.
is it's closing, and we're gonna like it. And I honestly, now that you mentioned the whole Rogue One route, I'm not mad at that. Like, obviously, it's gonna
Possible.
be sad to see
Yeah.
these characters die. I mean, I basically cried when Tech sacrificed himself in
Yeah.
season 2. But honestly, I can see it happening, and it's gonna be sad. I'm probably gonna cry.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just like the perfect way to just end this, end their whole
Yeah.
adventure in life together. I mean, they are a group of rogues who just don't really make money, don't really have money. All they have
Yeah.
is each other. So to have them all just kind of end their story all together in one place would just be a perfect ending to this series, this show, and this life of this family that's just grown so strong together.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's one of two ways. Either they all die or they really do put being soldiers behind them and they all settle down on Pabu. Would love to see that as well. That would be very nice if that were to happen too. I mean, I think either way could work. I don't think all of them make it out alive though. I really do feel like we're going to lose somebody major, at least one. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see who that is. And
Crosshair's going to sacrifice himself for Omega.
it's very possible. Like I could see so many different endings ahead. Like there could be multiple ways it goes, and all of them are very satisfying.
That is kind of like that. That is kind of like the predictable way to go because it's kind of the same way with like how Tech, Omega grew her like relationship with Tech, and then he ends up sacrificing himself for them. So, it's kind of the predictable way, Omega's grown this relationship with Crosshair, and it
Yeah.
could be that he sacrifices himself for
For
Omega
her.
at some point
Yeah.
in this for her in this series. So, but I mean, it could happen. Honestly,
Yeah.
it kind of seems like it could go that way, and I wouldn't be mad at it honestly because he's finally seen the error of his ways and has decided to go down the right path.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, like back even when we were doing Star Wars Sundays on stereo when we were talking about the first season. What's so amazing about this is like I didn't want Crosshair to be redeemed back then. I was like, make him the bad guy, don't do the redemption arc, because
True.
I genuinely I didn't, and now I'm just ever so satisfied with the way they've done it. It just goes to show you like execution is everything. You know what I mean? Because I'm fine with it now, seeing as how they've
sure.
done it, and I think what they did that was so smart. And going back into Dr. Hemlock is they've redeemed Crosshair, but they've replaced him with an even more intimidating presence, which is Dr. Hemlock now, and
Very true.
that's what they've done, very smart, and that's why it's worked for me. But again, it is execution. It is the building of the relationships and making him he's back in the batch, but it wasn't easy. This is not an easy road back for him. And there's still like developing things, as we were saying. Like he still has to jump through hoops to get back to where he was, and so that's why I think it is working, that redemption arc. It is about that execution and that character growth and development. So yeah, man. Yeah. But let's wrap it up. This is, again, as you said, one of our longest shows, but I do appreciate everybody bearing with us and sticking with us. I got to timestamp this thing. Oh, that's going to be a blast. All right. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think of the Bad Batch season, the final season of the Bad Batch so far. I think I've personally thoroughly enjoyed it. Jose's pretty much seconded that. We're like halfway now. We're at the halfway point, which is pretty neat. Over halfway, to be honest, and very excited to see where this all goes. As I said, it's not just must-watch Star Wars television. This is must-watch television, guys. And if you're not caught up on the Bad Batch, you need to. It really does pay off in the season so far, and I think that it is, again, it's a great experience week to week, which is something, again, I haven't said about the first two seasons. So this is just wonderful. It's some of the best Star Wars out there, and hope you guys enjoyed our discussion on it. Anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Before we go, Jose, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jose Espinal5, all lowercase all together. And you can also find me on YouTube at Latino Spicy King.
All right, you guys can find me on Twitter at Dom_Martino_, on Instagram, Dom_Martino_ official. Please follow the Extract Media pages at Extract Media blog across both platforms. This has been another great episode of Movie Mornings. I am Dom Martino. Before we get out of here, if you liked what you saw, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. I am Dom Martino. That's been Mr. Jose Espinel, and we will talk to you guys later. We are going to bed.
See you.